is up, everybody? We are back with another GoldenFox podcast. I had to do this with so much enthusiasm because I didn't want to sound deadpan, you know, that sort of thing. It's all about giving a good performance until I get mean for the upteen time.
Bueller.
Hi, Def. That's Def up there.
Hello. Hello.
Were you AFK?
I went to the restroom, that's why.
Oh, okay. Because we just got started, but yeah, how have you been, man?
I've been good, exhausted, but I'll live.
Okay, I'm gonna guess you're gonna put a pin on that for now. We have Ryley and Galaxy.
Bueller.
What's poppin', bitch?
How have you
Yeah.
how have you guys been?
Bueller.
Your mom.
Galaxy,
Percy
you are not myth.
Wrong.
You can't pull it off, Galaxy. You can't pull it off.
I know. I need water. Also, I've been working for several things right now. So the sheer fact that I'm going to work on this, and I'm also working with a certain
Individual.
Fox boy, GoldenFox over here.
You guys will see it when this gets archived on YouTube. I'll leave it at that.
Hell yeah.
So
Get that pussy poppin'. Okay.
Shut up!
That's Galaxy's new favorite word.
I can't take that word seriously considering the TikTok trend around it.
you know it's also something that never leaves your head at the start of this year, at least.
What?
Emotional damage. That is gonna overstay its welcome so much. Yes, Galaxy?
Oh yeah. Hold on.
New meme.
Oh, nice.
Hey, cold one.
Major melon, bitch. Yeah.
I still need to try Major Melon.
It's a melted carbonated Jolly Rancher. That's what it tastes like.
Oh, speaking of which, Golden, I found some C4.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so long story short, folks. Ryley here, he's a lightweight when it comes to caffeine and pot. And oh boy, C4 is one of the heaviest fucking caffeinated drinks that you could possibly imagine. Like, you could die from this shit if you're not careful.
I'm not really a lightweight when it comes to pot anymore, but when it comes to caffeine, I still remember how, remember Key's reaction to me drinking, C4 for the first time?
I remember how nonstop that fucking story was. I think you have a much better memory than I have. Knowing you, you were all over the place when you used to roommate with us.
But I think my first experience with coffee was when I was younger, young. And I drank coffee for the first time, and I ended up puking on my own shirt.
You poor
What
bean.
the fuck?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me.
Coffee now, but yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the time where my sister and her friends took me to go see Final Destination 3, because apparently that's the best thing you should do for a young kid. And as soon as we went to the Denny's, I asked for coffee, and the waiter was so weirded out that he put his hand on my forehead.
Because
Okay,
you do kind of have a coffee addiction there, Def.
By the way, hi Flitter Chris. Bye Flitter Chris. Have a good night's rest.
Boople the Flitter Chris.
The Flitter Chris.
Pat the Flitter Chris.
It's funny,
Also,
two of my friends now end with Z's. There's Flitter Chris and Panda Paz.
Pause.
Yeah, 4 Z's.
I mean, to be fair, 3 autocorrect because CuteGalaxyStarz.
You know what?
Oh,
Yeah. You inadvertently invented the Z tail of a name.
Oh, really?
So, I think this is a fun way to kick things off with the podcast because holy shit, I had quite a bitter start with 2022. And most of you would already know about this shit, but some people are asking questions. Some people even asked, "Hey, did you get your channel back?" If you're watching this on YouTube, I probably linked this to you if you were asking me and you didn't pay attention to my Twitter. So, here's story time with GoldenFox and how wacky this whole shitstorm was at the start of 22. So, winding the clocks back to, as far as I remember, it was January 27th. I was working a graveyard shift at the supermarket, and it was I was about 1 hour and a half away before I had to clock out and come home. I get a text message saying that your password has changed. Now, at first, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal because I thought, okay, maybe this is just a late reaction to me changing the password from the other night, because this was the night when I got Ryley's rig that he sent his way, and I was doing file transfers, and I was signing into, my social media on the other computer, and I'm, moving files back and forth. I'm doing all that shit. So while that's happening, all that was happening, I had to go and change my password. I remembered it in my head and I kept it simple, only to find out, oh, the password was incorrect. Did I do something wrong? Then I got a text message saying that my phone number was changed, and the list just went on. I'm like, what's going on? I go to check the biggest worry was already coming to life. Oh God, I hope they didn't access my ad revenue. I was signed out. I was like, oh shit. Oh God, my YouTube channel. What happened? What is this? I was freaking the hell out. I was like, oh crap, I gotta warn people on Discord. And immediately I have 3 private messages. One from Wolfhead, Vlad, and I don't know who else. Dude, you got hacked! I'm like, oh fuck. And what's insulting is that I was only 1 hour away before I could ever leave work, so I had no control over this shit. So, take that into account. This was one hell of a way to start. So keep in mind that this was when, this is me working, the graveyard shift. So I worked ever since midnight, and I would get off at 6 in the morning. So as soon as I got off, I'm beating my ass off at home. I get on the computer, and I'm trying to do everything I can to change my password, and I couldn't. So very luckily, I was able to get into my YouTube account, but the only way to change the password is with your Google email address. So I'm like, fuck, dude. I tried to click on help, and it immediately got me to contacting Google support. I'm talking to them, and what's more hilarious is that as I'm trying to explain everything to them, the son of a bitch is actually in there doing the same shit, and he's typing things he's spamming a bunch of random characters. This is hey, ban me, and I'm saying I didn't say that. And the people at Google, they're like, yeah, we know. Okay, you need to listen to me. We have to compromise your account. Now, I didn't know what compromise was, so I'm gonna put a pin on that for now. But I'm trying to get in contact with them. Apparently, there was a response from Vlad. Well, not him directly, but he actually he tagged Team YouTube, which, by the way, if you want to get help from YouTube, and I'm saying this with a pinch of salt, because YouTube is not always the best at answering any bullshit that happens. But they were willing to say, okay, we need to contact the creator. I responded, hi, I'm ready to talk. Okay, let's go in DMs. All right. And I would explain them the details and everything. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. I've exhausted myself. I got off work. I'm fucking tired. And for a second there, I thought it was going to be taken care of. And little did I suspect that even crazier shit would happen. So I see that the son of a bitch was doing a stream of some kind of stupid CryptoBot shit. Twice, mind you. It was twice. The first one was, I forgot what the dude's name was, and the son of a bitch overlaid the screen with a Puss in Boots sort of look to, picture to him. Why? I have no idea. But it happened. Then it happened a second time, and I was like, I'm fucking deleting that shit. Get that shit off my channel. I want nothing to do with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency can fuck off and die in a ditch.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was pretty indifferent to crypto and shit until this past year with NFTs and all that other bullshit. I just can't stand them now.
Nobody can stand it, and it's been obviously the topic has been discussed to death, but you know that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well,
Yeah.
we're trying to put in as much grease as we can. No, we're trying to put in as much of a squeal as we can to the wheel, but there's not enough grease on this case. Anyways, so I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go take a nap. I wake up like a few hours later and I go to check my phone to see if there's any updates, if the son of a bitch was doing anything to my account, only to find out it was shut down. And I flipped. I was ready to piss myself. So Keyframe goes giving me some support saying, okay, this has happened to some channels before. You can get it back, file an appeal, and do all this. I freak out in my server. And like word was spreading like wildfire. Like people were like, what happened to his channel? It's gone. So it was fucking chaos. So I wake up after a nap to find out more bullshit was going on. I get some messages from people like Mad Munchkin and such because she had a similar issue like I have. And she said that they have to terminate the account to get rid of the hacker.
Yep.
And they have to go through this recovery process. I don't know how the fuck long it takes. She said it took her a little over a week. So, Fun. I was worried. Like, I felt so defeated. Like, I felt like I was done for. Like, I felt no drive, no motivation to do anything. And this goes without saying, I was struggling to keep myself motivated while I'm transferring shit from my other computer to Ryley's rig, which, once again, thank you, man.
No
and
problem.
just doing all this, and I'm trying to keep myself busy working on anything. You can see this new badass logo that I made here. I'm fucking proud of that shit. But I was worried that the channel would never come back. There were discussions about like, oh, you could just start a new channel if it never comes back. And I'm like, no. Because, like, even Peter or Aeon was suggesting, like, okay, like, you could make a playlist of what your other videos were. They're gone. If the channel is gone, so are the videos, which means nobody can see them. So you can't watch Magic Sheep, you can't watch the previous podcast or the best of GoldenFox plays. It's just gone, removed from existence. So
It's nuked.
Yeah, it's completely like evaporated into thin air. So I'm sitting there and almost every day I'm laying down with the most depressed feeling imaginable. Like, it just felt like, not even like depressed wanting to end myself, like just depressed of just nothing. Just like nothing.
Yep.
It just, it's the kind of feeling that I would never wish on anybody. It's a terrible feeling. Like, it's a limbo type of feeling, you know?
Yeah.
So, I try to keep, like, again, I'm trying to keep myself busy with a couple of a bunch of bullshit, and I'm trying to, make myself happy with whatever it was. I did a few test streams, and I was very happy with the results. It was one of the funnest that I had in a while. Really excited to get back into doing GoldenFox plays again, along with, anything else. But I'm also rebranding, and there's all that shit. So if you're looking at my channel now, or at least at the time of this, the release date of this podcast, I'm still trying to make a new header. I'm rebranding everything. I'm making a universal mascot. I'm not going to bore you with the details here because we're getting a little off topic. But fast forward a few days, and one morning, like, I couldn't sleep for some reason. I was just like, ugh. So I got to check my computer and see how things are going on my second channel, because I know that some people were asking, like, what happened to your channel? And then I get, like, 9 notifications. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. As if, like, losing my channel after getting hacked wasn't bad enough. Guess what happened on my Discord?
All right. Yeah,
Every single fucking contact was given this Nitro link, which is fake as hell. I didn't even notice it until I got like 3 or 4 messages saying, hey, bro, you may want to do something about your Discord. Now that's being hacked. It's like, somebody must really want to go after my blood. Like, if you want to come after my blood, I'm not afraid to get a fucking rifle, dude. You wanna come head on to me one-on-one? Let's dance.
Every time
Remember.
there's a freak out of GoldenFox, he shits an entire bear, and that's what it feels like. I remember there are days or times where I would basically inform him, hey, if this doesn't happen, or if you get your channel growing, you might as well like work on the videos first and then publish them so that they would be up and ready to go, so that way you can be advanced with your shit, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
hard when
know.
you're.
I know. but it's like I can kind of understand how he's feeling, but it's kind of a suggestion that I made, especially with how he's very passionate. If you can't tell, I know this. I've known Golden since like years. Golden is a very passionate whore. And I say this with the most love I can muster.
I mean, it's not like I have hot colors and the resemblance of fire that resembles passion. I'm a living goddamn furnace, both physically and figuratively.
And spiritually. Because I know that at one point you would try to basically say something about what was it, the MOP movie, and I remember how passionate you are.
Are we talking about A New Generation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, no, like there were complaints that I heard from some people that are so effing ridiculous. And when I'm saying this, I'm not showing any ill will towards the people in particular, but their fucking criticism is absolute dog shit, and I'm not afraid to shit on it and tear it apart and say, dude, you're fucking wrong because there's a lot of things you glossed over in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm only putting that in layman's terms. I don't want to go off the topic about it, but point being, from Sleepy, I have some emotional problems, and sometimes I cope with them through whatever it is that I like to make. You know? That's the thing about art. Art is a big thing that you take your feelings out on. And some can be pretty, some can be barbaric. Some can be really barbaric, you know?
I know that, because here's the thing, I am somewhat of a big fan of Golden. And there's one thing that I know, like, I think especially with his like fetus times, like I'm talking like 2013, 2014 shit.
I don't think that would be referred to fetus times. I think that's like adolescence. I've made content since 2005.
Galaxy, who's a fetus, Galaxy? Who's the fetus here?
I hate you. That's not the point. The point is, it's just like Golden is one of those people, especially with like his channel. I remember him freaking out like a goddamn. He looked like he was in a panic room every time that he's like talking about his channel and shit. Because I know that he puts a lot of effort into his videos, and I admire that.
And seeing like almost decades worth of content completely removed from existence felt like
because of some crypto bitch decided, hey, you know what would be kind of funny?
Yeah, because some motherfucker, fuck you, decided to screw around with my shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and every time that happens, he pisses he shits an entire bear. There you go.
A shits an entire bear, pisses a fucking river.
Yeah. No, not a river. Fucking Niagara Falls, motherfucker.
That's better. That is 10 times more accurate in that description that I ever thought of. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I fucking am.
I mean, I'm the same person who compared like one of Mortal Kombat's characters, Johnny, or was it called, to edging.
If you want to talk about narcissism, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I am,
So, there was a really, really, really rough week. Like the first half of January, okay, things are just going along. Like, I'm waiting very patiently for the rig and everything, because I wanted to get things going after I got my rig, because I wanted to start off fresh this year. And January decided to give me the middle finger because of the fucking hacker. But then I got things back in February. And I was happier than a child at Christmas, even though it was February, that my channel was back. And I was so effing excited. Only to find out that I had like 50 goddamn copyright claims. So I'm like, oh, great. Fan-fucking-tastic.
I mean, at the very least, you have your channel back, so it's kind of a trade-off.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, you're getting your channel. Like, hey, you're getting your channel back.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, you have 50 claims.
And for like most of them, like, okay, some of them, they're like, okay, they're typical claims from Hasbro because I'm reviewing episodes. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's fair use. Fuck off. And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
I actually do want to talk about this briefly. The funny thing is that in my experience of fighting copyright claims against Hasbro, years back, it used to be just, filing the dispute to get rejected and then file an appeal and then waiting for the process to expire. They've now started releasing claims, like they're being a little bit more willing to back off and not being so abusive. Meanwhile, something else that I had to get off my chest is UMG.
No.
Yeah. So this winds the clocks back to an earlier time when I made the podcast when we were reacting to the Game Awards. And of course, for safety precautions, I would, click the mute button whenever we came across some kind of performance, especially something like Imagine Dragons. So not even a goddamn microsecond, it gets copyrighted by UMG and it gets blocked worldwide. I'm like, I wasn't playing anything. What the fuck? And then I found out. Go ahead.
My guess, and I think I said this, UMG just saw that you were doing the Game Awards and just manually claimed it without even watching the video.
Yeah, and I also found out afterwards, because I also filed a dispute, only for it to get rejected when it was 5 days away. So I'm like, fuck you, UMG. And then I saw, it's a visual claim. And, this is something quoting off. Yeah, exactly. This is the same shit that Angry Joe has been quoting before, that they're looking for something to fucking claim. This is a visual claim, not an audio claim. Does it really have to fucking matter, dude? We were already commentating on it anyway, so it's still technically fair use. But regardless, they're trying to find anything. This is just a sign of how abusive they are with their power. And obviously, I wasn't the only one. I searched the name up with UMG to see if other people had the same shit. And this is an issue that went on for literally years. I stumbled upon a video by H3H3, and they're talking about UMG. And apparently, there was some kind of partnership with YouTube, and that they're revitalizing the old music videos from standard edition to HD. You're optimizing some shit. That's nothing new here. And I'm not they're comparing it to the George Lucas special edition Star Wars movies, which honestly, I think that's kind of pushing it a little. Because before that, they would revitalize and do things with new copies of whatever movies they are to match up with the products that people want to see and kind of make it look refreshing compared to what it was back then. And I'm not in the sense of this is just the way it was back then. It's just nowadays things probably got rusty and they have to clean it up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't really take that big of an issue. If you're adding extra scenes and adding CGI and, that fucking canteen... No, not the canteen scene. That weird dancing scene from Return of the Jedi, then yeah, we're going to have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
the thing about the copyright claims is, it's a trade-off, but it's kind of like trying to, have a fly to buzz off at the same time. You just have to clear that shit up so that way you don't get your channel removed anymore.
It's like, Golden, I've told you about my experiences with UMG in the past, right?
Oh, you know what? If you want, go ahead and share it with them because... Oh, man.
Okay, so, back in the day, I made, a top 10 Beatles songs list, and UMG claimed that list, not only once, but twice after they were already beaten the first time.
Oh my god, they did it twice?
They did it twice. They tried once, and then a couple years later, they tried again. Same shit, and they lost again. So and the problem is YouTube doesn't have any kind of penalty system for people who abuse the claim system.
Honestly, so they should.
They should, but the problem is that they're trying to get in deep with the people who have the power and the money.
Yeah, and it's really, really delicate when you think about it because, okay, so with UMG, so aside from, pardon the noise in the background, but pardon the, aside from, H3H3, because, I've started to hate UMG even more when I found out other shit, not just, the shit that goes on with not just me, but also, with, what's his name, Gus Johnson, who was, made a video about Bohemian Rhapsody. And then it got fucking claimed, even though he never even played the song in the first place. So it's like examples of that. And I remember that it was Universal who had that same incident with the Prince scenario when that lady got sued when she was filming her child dancing to one of the Prince songs and was brought to court for that shit. And I'm just like,
I remember that.
oh,
that was a
that was a landmark case in like copyright too.
Yeah, that was, and to make it worse, that was also a time where Prince enforced that and basically refused to allow any of his songs on the internet because, in his opinion, the internet was overrated. But he even at some point removed all his music from Spotify just to throw it on Jay-Z's stupid platform of Tidal. The only reason we now have Prince music on YouTube was because Prince had to die for his estate to be like, okay, fine, we can put his music online. I mean, I love Prince. Prince is a good musician.
I don't respect him as a person.
But he as a businessman and as a human being, yeah, he was a bit of a lecherous piece of shit. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. He was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, may the man rest. You know, don't ever wish death on people. But, bruh, come on. What's actually more hilarious is that when it came to that case, correct me if I'm mistaken, that case didn't even last that long. The judge looked at everything and it's like, UG, get this woman back hair video. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, the judge made a big bitch slap from what I heard, metaphorically.
I don't think it was that short though. I don't remember. It was so long ago. What was this?
It was a while ago. Yeah, say what I have with a pinch of salt, or take what I say with a pinch of salt. Sorry, I'm getting all miscombobulated.
Yeah, this is all from memory, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically, she won the case, and this is one of those few occasions where one person wins against a fucking company. And there's with Gus Johnson, as well as a few other people, Mr. Beast, and God knows what else. I even stumbled upon a fucking song that satirizes the whole scenario. We are UG and we are trying to make a buck. If you even think about our music, we don't give a fuck. Go ahead.
Well, you remember that whole thing with H3H3 and that guy who tried to make this character of a pickup artist and shit. Remember that whole lawsuit?
Yeah, I told
wait, are you talking about the person who was like, he's making fun of me, I'm gonna sue him?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I told them about that a while back. The whole Bold Guy Haas situation and how Ethan and Heel, again, I may have my own criticisms against Ethan and Gila in recent years. Long story short, I just don't agree with the podcast situation. But the whole lawsuit thing was a complete stupid situation. And the fact that multiple YouTubers, even the ones that Ethan and Gila had criticized in the past, actually went to support them, shows how even they noticed that Bold Guy Haas was a complete dumbass. Not that he was making fun of people who were criticizing him for the whole situation. And again, it was pointless because the judge looked at the case and was like, yeah, this is fair use. You are literally just being a child.
I remember he originally tried to get them to pay him $5,000 and then have him advertise on their show.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, buddy.
Which the judge looked at that and said, no, they're in the right to do what they can in this video. And
this was before they even went to court. He tried to get them in order to not sue him. He gave them an option to just pay him $5,000 and have him advertise his channel on their channel for the next month or something like that.
Oh God,
he was such a fucking child.
Yeah, no. What's even more hilarious is that when I looked this person's name up, it was actually stated he became one of the most hated people on the platform.
Which is saying, sorry, go on.
Which I think it's rightfully earned at that point because, look, I've been made fun of by people on the internet for years. You know, the whole misanthropony rant. There was some loser who tried to jab at me because I dressed my ponyo in lingerie and a harem outfit.
God forbid.
Calling me faggot and all that shit. It's like, okay, grow the F up. I got better things to do than to deal with your bullshit, buddy. But I didn't fucking sue them. I didn't take them to court because, frankly, it's still fair use because you're still commenting. I wouldn't call it criticism, but it's still commentary. And there is a difference.
Also, the only faggot in this call is me.
And me.
Yeah. Y'all are straight as fuck.
Also, it's kind of funny. Bold guy Haas became the most hated person on YouTube because of that lawsuit. And then we also remember the douchebag who started the adpocalypse.
Who was that?
Matt, I forgot what his fucking name was, what his full name was, but it was like Matt something. He basically was the one reporting all this stuff to YouTube, which he was in the right for that, except he proceeded to basically shit on the people who were telling them, hey, your thing is kind of also blaming us for the stuff when it wasn't our fault. And the dude even went as far as to tell people, you know, if YouTube is your job, then maybe you should get a real job then.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
What's funny, which is funny because he went around being like this crusader of saying, hey, YouTube is promoting this sexual content. He was doing the same content as well.
Can you say hypocrite in 8 octaves?
Yeah.
You know, but back to the whole like copyright thing, it does remind me of something else because, like UMG would go as far as to claim, like even by a fucking microsecond, which is ridiculous. Wasn't there supposed to be a rule on YouTube that if you're using like third-party music, you're only allowed to use under like 10 to 30 seconds? Now it's like Angry Joe got claimed under 4 seconds of a joke for The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Which is, again...
Yeah, 4 seconds out of 17 minutes, mind you.
I think it's also now 13 seconds, and even then UMG will just be like, you use like 2.5 seconds of a song, we're gonna have to copyright claim your video.
Yeah, no, fuck off, man. No, it's like, okay, I understand that they're trying to be territorial and everything, but it's like, let's... I think the other way to put it is, like, it is dumb to use, you know, third-party music for, you know, background, you know, as background noise if you're doing a review or something like that. But, like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, nobody's gonna watch the video just to listen to that song. They're there to listen to the whatever the review is or whatever the content is. If they want to listen to the song, then look up the song.
Exactly.
There's no real damage to the brand. I mean, I'm not going to encourage people to just like, oh, don't worry about using third-party music because, yeah, you're going to get in trouble for that shit. But at the same time, it's like, guys, calm the F down. But they'll just do it anyway because money, 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 gotta take it all away. So
I mean, I'm not surprised with UMG being this kind of shitty. Y'all do remember that in 2008 they had that fire at their vault, at one of their vaults, which pretty much wiped out a shit ton of music that a lot of artists recorded, including Nirvana and Weezer.
Yeah.
So any music that those people could have recorded, but we may never know, is now permanently gone because UMG can't fucking treat their equipment properly.
Dude, correct me if I'm mistaken, but do music companies treat their musicians like shit too? Like, they make more money off the albums than the musicians themselves, don't they?
Yeah,
you would
they
be
do.
so surprised.
Yeah, this
Especially
is
if you're a pop artist.
This is why I feel like if at one point, I'm not tooting my horn or anything, like if I was ever successful at producing music, I would refuse any offer from any company. Because it's like, fuck you! You're just gonna bank off of my own talent, shitbags.
Unless,
Yeah,
personally,
Go ahead.
sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say, like, the only label, like, this is probably just me because I'm a metalhead. The only labels I've seen that tend to treat well are, you know, those labels, those metal labels, like Prophecy Productions and such. They tend to treat their artists at least better in comparison to other big labels like Interscope and such. Like, case in point, I may not like her music, but Taylor Swift got really screwed up by her label so terribly that she basically has resulted in re-recording half of her music in her own new direction because her label basically said, yeah, you're not making any more money from this because we own it.
Oh, man. You know, now that you mentioned... Go ahead, Galaxy.
Okay, here's something that's similar, sorta. Okay. The artist that I am personally a big fan of, one of them, Doja Cat. And the reason why I'm bringing her bitch ass up is because she is under the label of Dr. Luke. Any if you know anything about modern pop music or any pop musician, anything at all, Dr. Luke has a history of being a shitty ass person. And
Oh.
it doesn't help that he also worked with Kelly Clarkson and the legendary Kesha, if you know who Kesha is.
Oh, yeah, Kesha.
Yeah. So the thing with Doja Cat too is that here's a recent one. In Planet Her, which was an album that she made herself, including some people. But here's the thing. That bitch was like working her ass off, right? And then people at the company were just like, "Hey, so we're gonna discredit you on some of these songs. We're instead gonna credit Dr. Luke because you're under his regime. So you're not even gonna get, like, you are getting the money, don't get me wrong, but you're only getting a portion compared to Dr. Luke, probably."
How in the fuck are these companies getting away with this shit? This is asking for lawsuits to happen. This is fucking horseshit.
The problem
Which is
they
what-
have
which is-
them built into the contracts and shit.
Which is made worse considering what Dr. Luke did to Kesha and the lawsuit that she had to go through with Sony. Which I may have to remind people that at one point the fucking judge had the audacity to tell Kesha, "Hey, by the way, you are not going to be allowed to get out of your contract with Dr. Luke," and the poor girl broke down crying in court.
Oh my god.
She's out of that. She's out of that contract with Sony and Dr. Luke now. She's definitely a lot more better, and she's. I would
love to. I just want to say, I would like, even nowadays, like, being out of the contract and everything, I would personally be happy for her, because like that is a horrible situation. But on top of that, like, I'm not too big of a fan of Kesha's music. Like, I have nothing against her music or anything like that. I just don't listen to it as often.
Yeah.
But
I
do like the fact that, again, correct me if I'm mistaken, she helped with VivziePop over the Die Young music video. Where,
yeah, she did.
Oh, yeah.
She did.
Yeah. And I respect that. I like that there's people who are actually, they have something called, gratefulness. It's a magical thing that people could have every once in a hot minute, like in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Like a hot minute, blue moon, take your fucking pick. Hot, cold.
Yeah. The thing about that too is Doja Cat has been in Dr. Luke's label ever since her first album. I don't remember what her first album was called, but I think she was under his regime ever since she was, I think, 17.
Oh no, and considering the stories you've heard about Dr. Luke, that's already kind of alarming.
Yeah, there are times too where she ranted about how in her Instagram live, which is those, like, live streams and all that shit, she mentioned how she is tired of being forced to do anything. Like, she doesn't like to be obligated to do something in terms of her music.
I'd be too.
And it spread fire to the point where she, like, her venting kind of spread fire, and she basically was like, "Guys, I'm okay right now. It's fine." It's like, girl, you're under Dr. Luke's regime. Do you know what the fuck you signed up to?
I kind of feel like it's a similar situation of what happened with what's his face, Tupac. Considering Tupac was under contract with Suge Knight, that Suge Knight, and even though his friend told him, "Look, dude, you're gonna basically die under that dude's regime," but Tupac said, "I'm in a rock and a hard place, and I literally have no choice but to go with him." We all know what happened with him.
That really fucking stings, dude. Like, okay, I'm not big on hip hop culture, but that just swallows so fucking hard.
Yeah,
Even Tupac
under
couldn't get out of a
desperation.
fucking contract.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's funny,
Even the
like,
legendary people, but
yeah, no,
I'm just hoping that also rest in peace, Tupac.
Absolutely.
The other thing too is that I hope that Doja Cat, is actually, well, at the very least, in the next few years, she actually goes independent because I don't want her to be under Dr. Luke's regime, especially
No.
considering the whole shit that has happened with him and Kesha. And not to mention Kelly Clarkson. Did I mention he worked with Kelly Clarkson at one point?
Good God, no.
But yeah.
I think we went a little off topic.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for about an hour, so.
Oh yeah, no, we went off for quite a bit. But yeah, so that's what's been going on with me. One upside to the story that I would like to share. I think Keyframe may have already shared this in the the Awkward Podcast with ANY. We were accidentally given McDonald's.
Oh, amazing.
It was just one night, I'm minding my own business, then I hear a knock on the door, and I'm like, did Chrissy order something? So as soon as I open, the next door neighbor, he was like, hey, this is your food you left here? And I'm like, what the fuck? It's two big paper bags of fucking McDonald's. I bring it inside the house, or in the apartment complex. I bring it inside the apartment, and I asked Key, it was like, did you order something? No. And I show the bags, and I'm like, holy shit, this is huge. Like, we're looking at the receipts, trying to find the name, trying to find some clarity of, like, who did this belong to and such. And then she was guessing maybe it's the family that lives beneath us, because below us is a family of, like, 3 or 4 kids or something like that. I go to, like, ask them, hey, did you guys order this? Because it was shipped to us. No, it was meant to ship upstairs. Okay. And nobody was living in the second bottom door. So apparently it was just food given to us. And keep in mind, whenever food is delivered at the wrong place, you file a complaint and you get a refund and you can just make another order. So there was really no damage to be, there was no damage done when we thought, I guess we have free food. Like, we did everything we could. That was one of the most unexpected events that happened. We had free McDonald's. So what was in the McDonald's? 2 things of Big Mac, a quarter pounder with cheese, a big thing of chicken nuggets. It was like 10 with the small one. God knows how many fries. And here's the big one that Solar would completely drool over. 4 fucking cups of Sprite. McDonald's Sprite. So it was just so unexpected. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It sounds like the greatest thing ever.
It was the most hilariously great thing ever.
I kind of want that now.
I mean,
damn it.
After all the shit that you've been through, I can kind of see how that could be rewarding, or at the very least, for you, it'll be rewarding considering a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to eat that food.
Yeah, no, so, that happened, and we're all like, I put that to use because I was starting to get low on money until, we get paid again, and I would take it as a lunch to work. But yeah, I'm guessing, I think it's time I take the pin off of something. You wanted to share something, Def?
Okay, so a while back, well, actually, not a while back, on Friday, I finally decided to get tattoos. My sisters have had some for a while back, and they even jokingly said, I am surprised that it took you this long to get a tattoo. Well, to be fair, I didn't have fucking money, so obviously this is why I didn't get any. So, after pretty much getting scheduled appointment with a guy in a town a little bit, maybe like 30 minutes away, we pretty much start getting ready to get the tattoos on. I basically just wanted, I originally wanted 4, but as my sister and everyone else, most notably Myth and Solar, pointed out, maybe getting 4 is kind of too much for your body, especially considering you use your right hand for work. Because I wanted tattoos on both my left hand and my wrist, and my right hand and my wrist. So obviously the better idea was just to get one arm, and then the next arm after the other heals. So obviously from the get-go, the minute I told everyone, hey, I'm gonna get a tattoo, everybody said, you're gonna be in for a world of pain.
Yeah.
It was an hour of getting the tattoos. It wasn't that bad at first. So the first tattoo I got on my left hand was of a rune, Icelandic alphabets, the Icelandic pagan alphabet. It was of the Aldau rune, which is basically very easy design. It's like a square with two little I guess, arms sticking out. Not that hard. I think it took the guy like maybe 10 minutes to put it on my hand. But then on my wrist was the Undertale heart, because I like the idea of the game's theme of being a pacifist and still being yourself despite all the tribulations that happen to you. That was actually the one that I started to realize that, yeah, getting a tattoo is kind of painful. I wouldn't say it's it's super painful, like to the point of passing out. But the coloring of the tattoo is not fun. The guy put the border on, it took maybe 10 minutes, and that was perfectly fine. But when he started to put in the red, oh boy, my reaction was literally just opening my mouth and just making gasping noises, all while just resisting their urge to scream. I would have to compare the pain from maybe going from 1 to 3 to 5 to 6 in an instant, maybe a 7, depending.
This sounds like it. Okay, so from what I'm gathering in your experience, this sounds like it ranges from starting at a 1 to 2 to 1,000.
I mean, kinda. I mean, I was able to handle it, but the coloring was definitely not fun. Basically, if I said it, I said it to the artist guy who, by the way, he was a really fucking cool dude. He was pretty fucking chill. He was pretty happy at the fact that he finished my tattoos on time because he was able to go with his kids for karate or taekwondo, whatever it was. But if I had to compare the color of getting a color filled in for a tattoo, imagine taking a pen, scribbling all over your arm hard for literally an hour. That's how a tattoo feels.
Ouch.
I mean, the dude also compared it to getting a mosquito bite, which, yeah, you could also compare it to a mosquito bite, but imagine 1,000 mosquitoes just picking at your arm for God knows how long.
Ooh.
Yeah. And to be fair, I expected the tattoo pain afterwards to be bad. It really isn't. It's not that bad as I expected it to be. I was expecting searing pain, like I would not be able to use my arm for a long while for 2 weeks. Not really. I can still use my arm freely, but I will admit that if anything brushes on the tattoos, like per se me having to put on a sweater every day because of the cold weather in California, which, by the way, California is always going to be on its fucking period. Fucking hell. But having my sweater brush up on the tattoos, especially on the Undertale heart, is the most uncomfortable pain I've ever fucking felt in my life. It literally feels like a scab is being picked on by your fingernails. It's very hard. It's very, very uncomfortable. But I would definitely say it's worth it. I'm definitely still getting the other tattoos afterwards, but obviously not. Obviously.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say obviously not right now because I have to let these first 2 tattoos heal.
Yeah.
But I'm.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
I was just gonna say next ones are just gonna be it's gonna be 2 of them on my right hand. It's gonna be of a crescent moon, and then the other one is gonna be of another heart, but in a box. So
nice. So let this be a cautionary tale, folks. If you want to get a tattoo, I'm gonna quote Fluttershy. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Take it. Don't just assume, oh, it's not gonna hurt that much. Later.
Yeah. Start off small and then try to progress to big. Because Bliss already told me the story about her tattoo. And dear God, I can't even imagine enduring 7 hours of just.
Yeah, also Spinel Lover, just for the record, yeah, that's putting it very lightly because sometimes California can really be what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, so I will say this much. Before I started the podcast, periodically Kay likes to go to the gym and work out, do that's her usual routine. Tonight, it ranged from, I was told it was going to start raining or pouring, oh, that's going to be fun when I pick her up, to literally snowing briefly. And for a second, I thought everything was going to snow and continue snowing. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I better get her right now because she's probably going to be stuck there. And I won't be able to drive and pick her up because my car is only like front wheel drive. It can't handle driving in snow. It is a fucking rarity that this schlong of a state, this turd of a state, mind you. And yes, I do say that in stride because California is not a good state compared to a lot of America at this time. But, like, it is a rarity that we ever get any snow, period. So, yeah, to say that California was having a period is an understatement. You know, it's California and Florida that have the most what the fuck weather we have on occasion. I think Florida's much worse, though.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man.
The people there, like that whole state is a goddamn zoo of maniacs.
Not entirely, but like.
Well, okay, like maybe like 70 or 80%. Less than that? Possibly. But yeah, so we've kind of been on quite a conversation of a lot of things. So a lot has been happening for the past 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, 2 months. If a lot happened in 2 weeks, I can't imagine what would be like next month for whatever stories that we like to share. So the topics that we're going to be actually talking about media-wise are the recent Super Bowl commercials, Nintendo Direct, the Cuphead Show, and our choices for what movies we liked last year. So, getting straight to the meat and potatoes here, it's time we talk about the LVI Superbowl commercials. Yes, I said that. I know it's supposed to be a Roman numeral, but I can't keep track on what these all mean. But the 2022 commercials, Super Bowl commercials. I'm getting all that mixed up. We talked about commercials last year, and as usual, whenever it comes to, the commercials for the Super Bowl, because it's one of the biggest events of the year, they put out the most creative, best of the best ads as possible, at least under the company's eyes, in the hopes that it garners some sort of attention. But they can be very creative and everything, so with that being said, I don't remember every single commercial, but they will ring a bell once they're mentioned. So who would like to go first over what kind of commercial they like the most, if there's anything that rings a bell to them?
Well, I'll let Galaxy and Ryley take the helm to this because I wasn't able to watch the Super Bowl because I was working that day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, I did at least get around to watching the Super Bowl performance. Half of it.
Oh, you mean the game itself or the halftime show?
The halftime show.
Oh, the halftime show. Whew!
Was amazing.
Yeah, Sleepy, I'm pretty sure you have a lot to say on that regard, don't you?
I'm going to say it once and I'll say it again. Kendrick fucking Lamar, that is all.
Oh, I was going to say Eminem.
I mean, Eminem's cool too, but Kendrick...
Go ahead.
Oh, are we talking about the Super Bowl tonight?
Yes.
Right,
Yep.
let me talk about the Super Bowl.
Unleash the beast!
Okay, so Super Bowl was okay. At the very least, I remember being in the call, and I never thought that I was going to be... here's the thing. Background. I am not a very, how do you put this? Like a sports person unless it's wrestling, basketball, or either of the two. That is until I watched this particular game that I was
engaged,
pretty passionate, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were. Yeah.
No, like literally, she was getting frustrated trying to root for the Cincinnati Bengals against the what was it? The LA Rams.
She was screeching till the cows come home.
Oh, it was fucking amazing.
It was like, bitch, if you don't get fucking cheap shotted all the way to fucking Nevada, like what the fuck were you trying to do? Like, I get it. It's California. I get it's the California Rams, but at the same time, y'all, the entire time they were cheap shotting every single match they're in, and this, like, for this isn't what was the other team's name? I forgot now. Fuck.
Cincinnati.
It's like it's either they get like fucking foul or they actually win. There's no in between. And when I saw that the Rams was actually winning, even with like how much the clock starts ticking, I was internally pissed. Like going full on rage mode at that point. Because I remember being so angry about the fucking Rams just cheap-shotting every single thing. And they were, no, mind you, the entire game, they were like 16 to 20. And it wasn't until like some like miracle of like some shot that made them go like 3 points ahead of them.
Some
And
actual
that pissed me the
effort.
fuck off.
Poor Galaxy was raging the whole time.
Oh, another thing. The commercials were okay. They're not as memorable. I think one of the more memorable ones is the one that referenced Austin Powers' Dr. Evil or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it
ad.
did feature him. It did feature Dr. Evil, and it featured
Mike Myers.
Seth Green.
Yeah, no, that was...
That was
Some
impressive.
of the commercials that I like too, not because I'm biased or anything, is the one with Jim Carrey.
Of course.
I'm not surprised.
Jim Carrey.
He's apparently your husband, though.
Yes, Jim Carrey is my husbando, and I stan. Jim Carrey is my boy. I love him. Okay.
I could just imagine you having a fucking shrine, like so many pictures of, like so many portrait images of Jim Carrey with candles and roses in one corner. Yeah, sure you don't.
So Goldie, you're basically saying she would be Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
Nah. Okay. The fucking T-Mobile ones were very weird, especially Dolly. What's
That's how
another
they get
thing?
T-Mobile Pass.
Yeah. Oh, right. The fucking crypto thing with LeBron James.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna say right now, I don't remember much of the commercials except for the fucking crypto one where they had like Larry David and shit in it.
Dude, I saw the one with Matt Damon. Like, the worst one for me was the one with Matt Damon. And he's making this big speech about technology and exploring the galaxy and everything. Like, he's walking around, and we get this nice shot of Mars, and then it says, crypto.com. And I was like, no! Everything was going so good, only to find out it's a goddamn ad that's going to socially manipulate people into getting cryptocurrency. Suck my dick!
Okay, I've changed my mind. Okay, Def, you can fart on Mars.
Okay, so the other thing too with the Super Bowl ads is the one with Bud Light and Guy Fieri, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's Guy Fieri. He literally is a walking meme machine. He knows it, and he's perfectly fine with it.
Honestly, yeah, it's like he's only being himself, honestly.
Yeah. Also, the thing that made me like gasp and just like this close to having a stroke was like the one with the fucking Barbie where Anna Kendrick was like, hey, did you know that you can get like mortgage and shit? To like little fucking kids, mind you, who aren't even progressing like 10 years old, and she's like teaching them, hey, like mortgage is a thing, you have to do that. What? They're 10. They're not even allowed to do mortgages.
These 10-year-olds literally are just wanting to eat pizza, play video games, and worry about cooties. They don't want to know about buying a house.
Hey kids, welcome to capitalism.
Ma'am, I'm trying, like, if I were that 10-year-old, I would just bitch slapped her. I'd be like, ma'am, I'm trying to buy this fucking Bratz doll in Littlest Pet Shop, and you're here talking about some mortgage. I will worry about mortgages when I get older, but right now, I want to work on fucking, like, trying to get this fucking Yasmin doll to work. The other commercial that I really liked, what was it? It was the one with the fucking Jordan Peele movie.
Nope, that's what it was called. That is the most
one.
Hilariously enough. Like, okay, I know that Jordan Peele was primarily a comedian, but for like what looks like a thriller, that is the most hilariously appropriate title you can imagine.
Yeah.
Just nope.
At least What's funny is that I feel like it's gonna be like Get Out, where it's actually gonna be in the plot. It's gonna be in the movie because somewhere in the dialogue. Considering that with Get Out, I can imagine some people were like, "Why is it called Get Out?" And then you watch the movie, and then that one character just says, "Get out!" Oh, I get it.
No, like, okay, like I'm not too much into horror flicks, but I do remember seeing Get Out in theaters with a few other friends, and a part of me was ready to piss myself when I saw the real twist near the end.
Good, dude.
No spoilers.
With Get Out, it is fun. It is by all means one of the best horror movies ever made, and the fact that Jordan Peele was able to surprise a lot of people with the fact that, hey, he was a comedian, but was able to do this surprisingly in-depth horror movie with a lot of commentary. I fucking applaud him for that.
Dude, like,
Okay.
I don't know too much background with Jordan Peele, but knowing that he was primarily a comedian and jumping into horror, it's like, whoa, Jordan, there's a different side of you we don't know about. Are you okay, buddy?
No, here's the other thing too. What was it? I'm gonna talk about this in a bit, but it's kind of the same thing with how I think it's not really. It's a contrast. Midsommar's author or the movie
Director, Ari Aster.
Who did Hereditary, made Midsommar because of a breakup. So imagine being the ex of that director and watching that movie.
I mean, considering that he flat out says, "Oh, the boyfriend character is me, the girlfriend character was my ex." You watch it and you realize that, geez, Ari, do you need a hug? Then again,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised. When he did an AM and asked me anything on Reddit, someone literally asked him, "Hey, are you okay?" And his response was, "Nope."
Oof.
Which,
But-
considering the movies he makes with Hereditary, Midsommar, and The Strange Things About the Johnsons, which, no, people who are hearing this podcast, do not go watch that short. It is not safe for work, and it's kind of fucked up.
I don't think I
Yeah.
even want to link it.
Yeah, I do not recommend it.
All right.
Unless you have a strong willpower, that short is kind of fucked up.
Okay, then.
Yeah. You want
Unless-
to talk about the halftime real quick?
Yeah,
'Cause
go
that
right
was
ahead.
stupid.
Go ahead, Ryley.
Yeah, that was going to bring up the halftime because
Yeah.
that honestly was the most memorable thing about the entire
You
Super
wanna
Bowl.
know the-
Absolutely.
dude, like-
fucking
Eminem, dude, I was in utter excitement when I saw Eminem take fold, and I'm sitting there lip syncing to "Lose Yourself," like, you better lose yourself in the music the moment.
Well, it was
you
like-
want
it was
it,
Eminem.
you
You
let it go.
Never let it go.
50
You
Cent,
only
I mean-
get one shot to not
I
miss
mean,
your
75
chance to
cent.
This opportunity
75.
comes once in a lifetime. Fuck yourself, Ryley.
Lose yourself.
Also, in regards to 50 Cent, like, I don't like the guy. He definitely reeks of asshole egotism.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will admit, seeing him hung upside down and rapping was pretty fucking impressive. Also, this is something that I talked to my sister about last week, and I actually agree with her theory. When you really think about it, the entire Super Bowl halftime was basically a tribute to Dr. Dre.
Pretty much.
Because every artist that pretty much sang at the Super Bowl is connected to Dr. Dre. Snoop Dogg is connected to Dr. Dre because the two of them collabed together on Death Row Records. Snoop Dogg is also connected. Well, Snoop Dogg, not Snoop Dogg. Dr. Dre is connected to Eminem because Dr. Dre found Eminem. He pretty much pulled him out from the rut of Detroit to make him one of the best rappers ever known. Eminem got connected to 50 Cent, and the two of them are now really good best friends, apparently.
They're
And of
besties.
And of course, do I even need to mention Dr. Dre being the one who discovered Kendrick Lamar and bringing him to prominence?
Dude, Kendrick? No. Here's the thing. I know Golden has a boomer music taste, but listen here. If you want a spectacle, if you want the topics being brought to light and shit, listen to Kendrick. His ways of actually making the music that he does is so fucking good, bro. Like, I don't need to hype it up for you to basically tell you that. The thing about you can like Kendrick, you cannot like Kendrick. That's fine. but you cannot deny how much of an impact he has made in recent fucking years, especially considering that the whole thing with the Black Lives Matter last year, and people started saying, "Oh, where's Kendrick?"
We shouldn't go into that.
Yeah,
No,
I know.
It's going to be a little sensitive when you think about it.
No.
Yeah.
The thing that she's going to mention is that, like, people would say, "Oh, where's Kendrick? You know, he's talked about all this type of stuff." Except he was involved. He not only done that, he was involved.
Yeah,
and he was pretty badass about it too.
Is like the whole point about it is you have these legendary people, and mind you, for me anyway, in my opinion, this is one of the best in recent year halftime shows I've ever fucking watched, period, ever since 2016 with like Beyonce, Bruno Mars, and Coldplay.
Wow, even more than the weekend. Even more than the weekend last year.
Weekend was pretty good too.
No, Weekend is good, but he's not. He doesn't impact me that much. I'm sorry. Like
that is
heresy. Heresy.
But you know, I do kind of agree with Galaxy. Sorry, go on.
Here's the thing. If there's one thing that I am very picky. I did not like. I was indifferent with Shakira's and the other girls' performances in the Super Bowl. I was the same with the Weeknd. While it is kind of good, and with the budget it was given,
fantastic.
I was kind of it doesn't impact me as much. With this one, it actually like, whoa, like we get to see like the legendaries themselves. And here's a fun fact, not to toot my own horn like Golden did this fucking podcast, I happen to have the same birthday as the real Slim Shady.
Yep. I knew you were going to talk about that. I knew you were going to bring that up.
Galaxy, don't stand up.
Sleepy, please stand up. Please stand up.
This sounds like a job for you. Yeah, this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, because we need a little controversy, because it feels so empty without me.
Also, to enforce the importance of Kendrick, this guy has released album upon album upon album, and they're all universally praised. To put which Good Kid, Mad City is considered one of the defining albums of, I think it was supposed to be 2012 or 2013 or 2011, I could be wrong. To Pimp a Butterfly is considered one of the defining albums of 2015 and of an era. And damn, his 2017 album, that one got a Pulitzer, which is basically the equivalent of a Nobel Prize.
Damn.
Usually Pulitzers are given to jazz records, and his is the first ever rap record to get a Pulitzer. Also, Kendrick is one of the few people who inspired David Bowie.
Oh.
Yeah, David Bowie's last album was partially inspired by Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, mainly because that album was very, very intellectual with its current topics about Black culture and Kendrick as an artist, considering how much of a...
Here's the thing about me with Kendrick is I respect him as an artist, and his music just doesn't really do anything for me for some reason.
Which is fine.
But you gotta give credit to...
Whatnot.
Oh yeah,
it's just that you can't.
He's a clearly talented guy.
Yeah. He is very talented, and
the one thing that is hilarious, but in terms of like context, it's kind of scary, but it's hilarious in terms of like, you know, the song itself. The song that I want to reference is what was it? For Free, which was basically comparing like, you know, this political shit and all that. He did it in that song was made in such a way where like a cartoon character was like driven off into insanity, and then you hear like distorted music playing. That's what it felt like.
Jazz music, which consisted of him screaming and
this dick ain't free.
Hell no.
Hell fucking no.
Yes. We're not even kidding, Golden. That's an interlude into Pimp a Butterfly where he flat out just sings, but
this dick ain't
says
free.
that. I mean, I understand the concept he's going with it, with its message, but it is still out of context. It's pretty much amusing just to hear him say, "This dick ain't free."
In the way that he can, but if it's where like this dick ain't free, it's like, all right, you get the joke, and then you hear it in a way that like it's the delivery. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the delivery of how he said that is so amazing.
And this dude's only in his 30s, which makes it 10 times better.
Oh, absolutely, dude is short too.
Also, he's very humble. You know, no pun intended. He is actually pretty fucking humble.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask, how short is he? Like, is he Tom Cruise short or Wee Man short?
No, he's not Wee Man short. He's like maybe Reese Witherspoon short.
Okay.
He's 5'6".
He's 5'6".
Dude, I'm
So,
taller than him then.
Galaxy
I'm 5'10".
But he definitely has a power. He definitely has a power. And I think that's one of the reasons I really like the Super Bowl performance, because we haven't seen him in pretty much do music in a long while. With the exception of the top of the morning reference.
Let's get the shit. But, I forgot one thing that made me, okay, this wasn't a call. I saw Eminem's whole thing, right? His performance. I recognized a certain drummer in there.
Uh-huh.
Travis Barker.
No. Anderson .Paak.
Oh
shit.
Oh my god, dude. When I saw Anderson .Paak in the fucking, casually just, right beside Eminem, you know, was ready to just yell and scream, because he's one of my favorite artists of all time, and he happened to do a collaboration with Bruno Mars on Silk Sonic, and oh my god, that album is album of the fucking year. I've raved about that album so much, bro.
Oh really? I really couldn't tell. I couldn't guess.
I love that album, okay? But here's another thing. Mary J. Blige too.
Huh, nice.
The thing I remember,
Mary J. Blige is also cool.
The thing I remember most about Mary J. Blige, and yeah, call me a swine for this. I remember her collaboration. Wow, I fucked that up. Jesus, no, her collaboration with I think it was with Ja Rule. The song was called "Rainy Days." Like that's the most that I remember.
I kind of don't. I'm not going to give you any grief because, you know, music person, I can't be that type of dick. But it just kind of sucks considering Ja Rule is kind of a scummy piece of shit.
And yet he's with Martha Stewart in those Super Bowl ads.
Good God Almighty.
I think I remember, what was it? I'm not gonna say any more, but, if you know, you know. Snoop Dogg in actual, mainstream TV did a certain type of walk on camera. If you know this walk, you know. But otherwise, I'm not even gonna say it.
I'm not surprised. Also, to kind of add to this, because you brought up Snoop Dogg fucking did a tribute to Vicente Fernandez yesterday.
Who?
I am still, the Mexican legend mariachi musician who passed away last year.
Oh,
I am very ignorant on this person. Sorry.
You're fine. Latinos basically adore the fuck out of Vicente Fernandez. Rest in peace. But I still find that amusing that Snoop Dogg literally decided, I'm gonna pay tribute to Vicente Fernandez, and was interviewed by Mexican news stations, which how is this man a thing?
I've said this many times, but Snoop Dogg has basically earned the ability to do whatever the fuck he wants at this point.
It did really all depend.
I mean, I have no problem with it. Like, kudos to him to giving tribute, but it's so weird.
The thing, okay, so I hear Snoop Dogg a lot. I hear a few rap musicians. The one that I always see as a meme, and I'm probably saying this kind of bouncing off of the chat box. The only thing I remember with 50 Cent is that song "In the Club," which was a part of the Super Bowl halftime show, mind you.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember. 50 Cent.
Yeah,
Like
50 Cent.
like that's like I'm gonna get shit for this, but like, have you ever thought about comparing that name to Nickelback?
I mean,
Like the band.
Get out.
No, the band.
Get out.
The band, like Chad Kroeger and the band came up with the name Nickelback because he always had a habit of saying, "Here's your Nickelback" when they would shop somewhere, and it just became a joke in and of itself. 50 Cent. This is like the title idea is like Nickelback times. How many times is 5 going to 50? 10 times! Times 10. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this.
Shit for me. Like, I don't speak for everyone, but I'm just like, get out. Get the fuck out of your own podcast.
I have no respect for 50 Cent because he's kind of he's very much a piece of shit, and I will never let go of the fact that he literally told Kanye, "Hey, if your album outsells my album, I'm gonna retire from rap." The album the album in question was Graduation, aka the one that had Stronger. So yeah 50 lost that, and he tried to retract from that claim, and people have never let it go ever since.
Yikes. Pride. Too much pride can kill a man.
Oh yeah.
That pride. He is very infamous for being so prideful.
Big yikes. No, just.
What was that whole autism thing that he did a few years back too?
Oh no.
No.
Is this like another Sia situation?
I can't remember all the details, but
I mean, the one thing I do remember of 50 Cent, and this is the big reason why I don't like the fucker, he basically made fun of Terry fucking Crews when he came out about, that.
oh right, that whole thing.
Everybody called him out on it, and I think he ended up deleting the post after that, but a lot of people were pissed off, especially, making fun of Terry Crews is like kicking a bulldog.
Where was this posted?
Instagram, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. For a second, if it was Twitter, I would have fallen to the floor laughing.
Yeah, I think it probably was Twitter, but I can't be so sure. All I do know is that, again, 50 Cent made fun of Terry Crews because of that story, and everybody lost their fucking shit. Which, perfectly understandable, considering you're making fun of a victim, so, yeah.
I find it fascinating that we reached from talking about Super Bowl commercials to different kinds of hip-hop artists. But, like ever since that halftime show, I was in, like, a brief mood of listening to a couple of hip-hop tracks that I kind of grew up listening to. Like, Fort Minor's, Where'd You Go? Or, what's it called? Ludacris's Runaway Love, which was a very heavy song. Like, even like nowadays, when I was listening to all the lyrics that Ludacris had, one of which was about an accidental pregnancy, and I'm like, damn, this song went places. Jesus.
Oh yeah.
And what's up?
I was just gonna say that when you look very closely more at like certain hip hop artists or like certain hip hop songs, you'll be surprised of how in depth the lyrics tend to be. I bring up Kendrick because when it comes to him writing super serious songs, you really end up seeing the weight from it. It's even when they're being comedic, like Humble, which a lot of people tend to think, oh, it's just about him bragging. Then you kind of read the lyrics and you're like, oh, he's criticizing people. He's criticizing the idea of people being fake over saying they're humble, and yet he's kind of acting the exact same way. Interesting. That's a
Hypocrite much?
But it's more in the perspective of the album's themes, so which is basically about him. Which basically the album is about him kind of trying to learn a bit about defeating his fear and kind of realizing his self-worth.
Okay, so we definitely went on the deep end with the hip hop artists and such. Any other commercials that people remember or have something that they want to share?
I just want to point this out about the crypto thing, which is one of the reasons I really hate it.
Tell it to go fuck
Reminder,
off.
and bittersweet reminder that in Los Angeles, the Staples Center is no longer called the Staples Center. It is literally called the Crypto.com Center.
Are you fucking serious?
You did not know that? Yeah. I think Staples ended up losing the rights to the center, so they had to give it to Crypto.com.
I need a minute here. I need to go rethink my life.
Yeah, I was very disappointed too, considering my sister had her graduation at the fucking Staples Center. So it's kind of sad that a location in Los Angeles that is considered very beloved is now literally pretty much the center for a stupid crypto company that literally likes to spam that stupid card all the time. Great. Ain't crypto fun, people?
Yeah. So how do you guys like your monkeys?
Fuck the stupid monkeys. Those fucking things are disgusting. And ugly, to be honest. Oh, but they have value to it. It is literally a stupid receipt. It's like the fucking receipt in a shitty electronic box.
Why did they think this was a good idea? Why?
Because I have no idea why the center had to be given to Crypto.com. They could have given it to any other company.
Just
The advertising now makes sense.
All I gotta say is, rest in peace, Staples Center.
Oh my god, dude, this... Like, I know I shouldn't have any feelings over the name Staples Center because I know that it's just a place in LA, but fuck!
It's an icon in Los Angeles.
You now have a location based off of an event that should have never existed. Why? I'm gonna be fine.
You sure?
But this is like I can't even say it's a punch to the gut. This is a whole new thread of stupid. I can't believe it.
I'm actually surprised you did not know that.
I mean, what's next? You know what? I'm not going to finish that sentence because I'm going to give ideas.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Ooh.
Facebook has pretty much destroyed the word meta to me.
Well, Facebook has already destroyed itself anyway. Nobody cares.
I mean, it's ruined the word
I
for
long
me.
abandoned it after some bullshit with some friends of mine, and I already just was tired of the place anyway, so it's gone.
Yeah.
So, I will say what my favorite ads are because that's primarily what this topic was meant to be about. Trying to remember seeing what the listing is. I kind of like the one with Seth Green over the Lay's commercial, and then finding out that he's marrying one of those ghost figures.
That was good.
That one was pretty funny.
Seth Rogen. It was Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Wait. What did I say earlier?
Seth Green.
Oh.
Seth Green was the one with Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. Yeah. No, that one was fun, and I find it hilarious that you have that, and that last year we had a Super Bowl ad relating to Wayne's World. Is there going to be like another Mike Meyer comedy reference like in the near future?
We're pretty much in the era of 90s nostalgia now. Like we're
90s nostalgia, 80s nostalgia if you bring in The Weeknd because still love that Don FM album.
Well, I mean, they're bringing back like Animaniacs, Futurama,
and fashion.
Well, Animaniacs, I stopped watching when I found out about what happened to the original creator and all that shit.
Yeah, the writers and stuff.
Yeah. Another one of my favorites. I think it was a much earlier ad. Like I've seen pre-roll ads of it, and it had a pretty clever way of doing it. It was about Alexa saying like it was being somewhat of a mind reader. At one point, they're talking about like a show that's about to air, and then it says, "Making a reminder to kill yourself." Nope. And it would say things like, "She got food from the store and got the shellfish and left it in the car accidentally for 4 hours, and everybody's spitting on their dinner tables like, ugh." Apparently, I got no reaction out of that, but.
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
No, it's fine. I'm looking over whichever ones there are. Let's see. Off the grid. Because, like, watch. Like, oh, yeah, the great I think it's called the Grande Escape. Basically, it's a bunch of clowns, and they decide to escape for a second, and it turned out to be an interesting like Taco Bell commercial.
Oh yeah. Oh right, it was a Taco Bell commercial. Forgot about that one.
This is starting to feel more metaphorical about getting your head out of your ass and just living life. Because otherwise you're just being a fucking clown. No offense, Steve-O.
Yeah. God bless Steve-O, though.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, God. I could go on a tirade about Steve-O, but that's a different topic for another time. So, it seems we kind of exhausted ourselves with this topic. You think it's time we go to the next?
Which one?
We're gonna.
Is it movies?
No.
Which one?
Nintendo Direct.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like the only oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like the only thing that's memorable about the Nintendo Direct as of late is the Kirby one.
I knew it.
Mouthful mode.
The mouthful mode. I can't believe they called it mouthful mode. Like
It rolls off the tongue. What do you want them to be like?
It's just gonna give like vor vibes for some people.
Dude, there's already been
Kirby car.
there have already been vor jokes before when it came to Kirby.
Oh God Almighty!
I mean, no. He has a point. Don't.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He literally sucks any enemies in, contains their power afterwards. It's even a move in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Touché.
He sucks out people.
But the whole mouthful mode, I think they could have just called it like Giga mode or Giga Kirby mode or something. But no, mouthful mode. Like, it's like, okay, first off, it's lazy. Second, dude, do you have any possible implication to that? Now, just a friendly reminder, I'm still looking forward to playing this new Kirby game. It looks like fire, dude. It looks like...
I get it, because GoldenFox is fire.
Shut the hell up.
Galaxy, I'm gonna put you in the sink.
No, the game looks sick. It looks absolutely fun. And the thing about Kirby games is that they just have a simplicity to its gaming mechanics. Like, it doesn't have to be overly challenging, but it's still fun.
Well, here's the thing about the Kirby games. They have become kind of stale for me in the past few years, so this 3D version of Kirby is something I've been wanting from the series for a long-ass time.
And it comes out in March, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've been excited for a Kirby game in a while, honestly.
Okay.
For a hot minute, haha.
And it like, I'm loving all the different aspects. You can raise up your village of the Waddle Dees and such.
I like that.
What was it? You could level up abilities and stuff too.
So it has a more of an RPG sort of element to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
The fact that like Kirby basically just like inhaled a whole Nissan Figaro is kind of amazing to me.
That's oddly specific of you to recognize that car.
Like, it kind of looks like a Figaro in like a certain angle, but I now want a fucking Nissan Kirby car.
Of course you would.
I mean, no, don't deny it. It looks fucking cute as fuck. Just like have like one of the Kirby eyes being like the headlights of the car. That's so fucking cute.
I mean,
just like have it customized. Like if you go inside of the car, you see like a shit ton of like Kirby themed car merchandise.
I mean, you're kind of right.
Cool.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah. There was also one where he inhaled a whole fucking vendor machine.
Yeah, that one I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, here's another way to give them drinks. Just shoot them at them. Yeah, that'll give them a thirst.
I guess you could say he's sharing the thirst.
Shut the fuck up.
Sharing the thirst. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
What's kind of funny too is that I noticed this as Star Allies, and I know this is probably like a mechanic when you guys play Kirby games, but I noticed how in Star Allies, if you have like a certain amount of food for Kirby, you share it with the person, with like the NPCs. And I'm not talking like, oh, just like have them like give the food. No, you kiss with the food. You kiss your NPC friends with the food. And it's like, oh, okay.
Amazing.
I mean, like,
you're doing CPR while giving them food. That's what I'm trying to imply.
well, the other thing about, like, some people were complaining about it being kind of a lackluster direct. I don't know. I thought there were a bunch of cool titles that were
there's
announced.
Xenoblade.
There's Xenoblade.
Yeah, there's like a handful of remakes. Like Earthbound is getting some attention.
About fucking time.
Yeah, like
and don't forget.
Go ahead.
And don't forget, they're finally bringing Live Alive from Japan to the West now. Like, that was always, like, exclusive to Japan until now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and there was something else. Oh, yeah, a lot of what's called Mario Strikers. Like, I love the art style. I like the art style they're going with on that one.
But I'm going to do this little thing. Because a certain company is doing the Mario Strikers. Next level games!
Oh, there go my eardrums.
Why do you think I have to turn down?
I'm not even that close to the mic. I was trying to like step away from the mic as much as possible.
She is very happy, as you can tell.
No, I was trying to imitate the fucking Daisy announcement thing, where Daisy says next level games in the way that she did.
Having the Portal game,
she is very happy.
Portal games on the Switch is pretty cool too.
I'm kind of okay with that. Like,
it seems y'all didn't mention Klonoa.
Yeah.
Well, Klonoa. What is that?
Klonoa was sort of like think of like Mario, like in Sonic, like.
Wait. That's the dude that looks like a Pokemon.
Yes.
He looks like a fucking Pokemon. He looks
this guy.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking Pokemon.
But everybody really liked the games with Klonoa when they started off, and to say that the reception is finally around for them to come back is yes.
Also, we are finally getting Cuphead, the last delicious last course, but also Portal.
Yeah,
Portal. Do you know how fucking cool that is that we get Portal on the Switch? Yeah. I did not think that we would get more like Portal on the Switch at all, but here we fucking are.
That's right.
Also, the fucking Nintendo Switch Sports thing. That's funny.
Yeah, I remember seeing everybody on Twitter like melting down over the fact that you're no longer using Mii's with the game, and they were like, "Oh God, this art style and stuff."
And for how happy we are with the Nintendo Direct, I do need to make a little complaint about Nintendo basically going, "Hey, for anybody who has the Switch, the 3DS and the Wii U, yeah, our market's closed. Yeah, we're closing down the digital shop.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wonder if it's because they're doing that because they want you to buy the expansion packs for the Nintendo 64 games.
And then there's the argument that's been brought up a million times since then, too, is the fact that there's all these digital-only games that Nintendo apparently has no plans to sell on any other platform that are probably just going to be gone when they close it down.
Okay, here's the thing.
And you wonder why people commit to piracy and doing emulators and ROMs.
Yeah.
Nintendo just goes, "How can you guys do this? Why are you guys,
Maybe
pirating?"
it's because you're fucking restraining us from playing these games. Christ!
Tell us the games, we will play them.
Yeah.
Nintendo is literally like that Skinner meme where he's like, "Am I the one at fault for basically causing the piracy?"
Yeah.
No, it's the fans.
The thing about the piracy too is I get it. you can't really pirate these games because they're going to be on a paywall. But with the practices that they've been doing, especially since they're closing, mind you, let me put a pin on this particular phrase. They are closing these Nintendo eShops on March 2023. So that March 2023, next year. So they have all the time in the world to basically import certain games that they haven't released in the Switch unless it's from the Nintendo Switch Online. Why did they need to do that then? You have all this time in the world and you're just gonna wait for like until next year for that to happen? Fuck no.
I would like to point... Go ahead.
Like, you could just, like, import these games onto Nintendo Switch so that way it doesn't have to be that hard. And you wonder why people actually pirate your games. Gee, it's almost like you're putting a fucking paywall onto the games that people would want to play. Again, I've mentioned this before.
Everybody's mentioned it before.
Dude, everybody know, like, Solar's been like, dude, Virtual Console, get on it!
I know. No. Here's the thing. I've mentioned this in a podcast at one point. I get it. Unless you have, like, the actual games consoles or whatever, you don't have to play it in piracy. But at the same time, with the things that they've been doing, again, it still feels awful to see that your company is basically just putting a paywall onto every single game. You're making it harder for us, but you're also making it harder for yourselves too, considering that.
Yeah, that's pretty much like, hey, Nintendo, you want my money? No.
Actually, give us the games. Don't put this fucking like charge on us so that way you could actually get the games.
Honestly, the two companies that seemingly are the worst at game preservation are Nintendo and Sony, honestly.
Oof, and those are the two big competitors with their consoles.
Yeah, I still remember there was one Sony executive who basically, when he asked about like old games being brought onto the systems, he's like, "Oh, but why would you want to play those things? Their graphics are terrible." And
it doesn't. Okay, boy.
That's because it's nostalgia.
It's not just nostalgia.
It's about the gameplay.
Yeah, it's also gameplay should always be paramount. The whole thing, because I remember years ago, and it's kind of drifting a little off topic for just a bit, but just indulge me for a second. There's always those people, like, I remember people would shit on the GameCube, saying that their games are stupid, but when they talk about games that were for, like, the PS2 and such, or any kind of later generation, oh, look at these graphics, they're fucking good. Like, you only care about the spectacle and not the content. And it's always been pointed out multiple times, gameplay is always paramount. Like, god damn. How much stupider can you get? And now Sony has fallen for this shit. The reason why anybody would want to play the older games is because of how fucking good they are. Yeah.
Because the gameplay is good. Like, it doesn't...
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Def.
Sorry, Galaxy. Go on? Go on? No, she can go on. She was continuing.
Again, it's like... what was I about to say? Fuck. Okay.
Sorry.
Like, gameplay does not equal like fuck. Okay.
Good graphics don't make a good game. It's good game that makes a good game.
Yeah. Like,
exactly.
If you somehow ace those two things, which is good gameplay and good graphics, good on you. Like, you actually care about your game. You're not just going from one end to the other, which would be fine if you were to do gameplay and fucking game and weird graphics, but that's fine. I think a good example of this is Pokemon Arceus. Although I haven't played it, I've heard recently good things about Arceus where the gameplay is actually good.
I wanted to use another example of a game that, even though the graphics have completely not aged well, but everyone will agree that its story and gameplay are still very good. Silent Hill 2.
Okay, then.
Silent Hill 2's graphics look little blocky, mainly Silent Hill 1 as well.
Hey, at least it's not the remastered version.
We don't talk about the remaster. We do not talk about the remasters. But again, my point still stands. Silent Hill 2's graphics, and technically also Silent Hill 1's graphics, are very, very... They basically have not aged well. But, and of course, the voice acting is completely cheesy. But those games, Silent Hill 2 especially, are considered the games that redefined horror for video games, especially Silent Hill 2. So the fact that pretty much that Sony's like, oh, why would you want to play those old games? I mean, their graphics are bad. That game is still fucking good, and it's considered a classic.
Yeah.
Why would some people want to replay Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment System? Why would some people want to go back and play Pac-Man? Oh, I don't know. Because they're fucking simple and good.
Okay, same thing with Super Mario 64.
I mean,
the problem at its core is that, like, game preservation isn't taken as seriously as other forms of media, like film and TV shows and stuff, so it's becoming more and more difficult to convince companies to actually give a shit about their past games and make them available to people, and that's why ROMs and emulators have been taking off and shit.
And this is kind of playing into... Somebody actually posted a quote from Thomas Jefferson, and you can take this with a pinch of salt too. If a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he is obligated to do so. How much has that quote have aged well over the past couple of centuries, mind you, compared to a few decades worth of gaming?
I wonder.
Yeah. And the whole
I'm eating chips.
And the whole thing of historical preservations and such, even for movies, that's always been a thing. I'm looking at you, George Lucas. You and that goddamn canteen scene with the CG aliens and that one cockroach-looking guy going, and seeing strings of slobber come out. That's so fucking disgusting. I didn't
remember him being...
I mean, I get that George Lucas had he wanted to include some new things in Star Wars, but George Lucas, here's a little thing. You know what it could be called? Come here. You know what it'd be called? It's called deleted scenes. You could fucking make them deleted scenes.
It's not even that. He went and he went and reshaped those movies because it wasn't the original movies were not what he wanted, which is fine. To an extent, I can understand that you're upset that you don't have full control over your own creations, but you're making something to the public.
Exactly.
And this should have been taken into consideration of, don't fix what isn't broken.
Exactly, Kate. And sometimes you kind of need to take into consideration that if you end up doing a director's cut, some people are going to be split on it.
Allow the option for people to watch. Dude, Ridley Scott, Blade Runner, has 3 different versions from what I remember. The original cut, director's cut, and the final cut. I'm not a fan of the movie, but I like that it has the option for people to look at the different versions. Yes, Ryley, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing that everybody's been clamoring for the longest time is to just have the original versions of the films.
Accessible.
Accessible, but also with the special editions, upscaling and remastering of the quality of the film, too.
Yeah. And now we have Vader going all, no, when tossing Chancellor Palpatine over the bridge. We have an extra rock next to R2-D2. What changes were made in Empire Strikes Back?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to also bring up 2 good examples of directors who have made extended cuts of their movies, but they allow fans to choose. Case in point, Peter Jackson. When he made Lord of the Rings, obviously many people really liked them, even though the movies were 3 hours long. He later on released the the extended cuts, which even then he stated that that people who love the movies didn't have to watch. He considered the extended cuts more of fan versions of the movies because they contained a shit ton of elements that that the fans would probably be like, "Oh my god, that's a thing I remember from the book." Another example, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this movie, Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko is already a confusing, very confusing fucking movie, but then the director released the director's cut. And he himself doesn't consider a director's cut. He considers it just his own version of the movie, and he lets fans, debate and lets fans, choose if they like like the version that he released or the version that was released theatrical. And depending on who you ask, some people tend to prefer the original because they like the music choices of that movie. Most notably, the movie starting off with The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, and the director's cut having Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess.
So when you take all this into account, this is something that ought to be taken into consideration with these major gaming companies and shit. Like, okay, so some of these games are fucking dated. Okay, it's one of a few things. You could either do some remakes with them, and there have been several occasions with the remakes of them. Case in point, this Nintendo Direct, or have some kind of alternative idea to create like a very creative way to reutilize the controls for new players who haven't played them before. I know that there's that whole thing of, if you want to play the original games, you would have to work with the original hardware. It's gone fucking expensive these days. Like, it costs almost $150 for an N64. Kiss my ass.
That kind of argument can suck my fucking long dick.
Yeah.
Like, the sheer fact that you would have to pay, like, that is already tedious as it is. Like, piracy is already tedious as it is. You being able to just buying something that is nowadays very expensive, especially considering that nostalgia sells. Why do you need to do that?
That's not even into getting the console. Remember, you also have to buy the TV that works with it.
You have to have the right connections and such. Like, there's some, like, what's it called, the Frame Meister, which is like $300.
So in total, as Angry Video Gamer once did with the CDI, and yes, I'm using it as an example, he in total spent over $700 just getting everything for that review.
Good.
Because there's no emulation for any system like that. I mean, the CDI is complete shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
By all means, if it's something that you're very committed to, that is fine. Personally, I wouldn't spend that much on everything that's $700 because right now I already have like games that are like $59 as it is, plus tax, mind you, and fucking consoles that are like very expensive as shit. So I don't need to buy like $700, and I get it if it's a prop, but in terms of like, like actual usage of it, you do not need to do that. That's so tedious, even for me.
And Nintendo could just do this because they've done it twice. They could just fucking release a small little emulator system that has every single classic game on it.
It's like they did this before.
And they did this twice with the with the original with the original NES
and the SNES Classic.
Are you talking about those like small ass fucking consoles that they're selling?
But they had
those bitches. Yeah, my god, I remember those selling everywhere. Like, I remember seeing them, and I've never gotten one.
You can't. It's really hard. It was hard for people to get them because they sold that fast.
Nostalgia,
guys.
Absolutely.
Yes, Ryley?
We should probably get on to the next subject.
Well, so Nintendo Direct, it was pretty okay. Looking forward to more of the Kirby game, but the mouthful. It's no.
Yeah. Sorry, we can't help ourselves. We're too passionate. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're too talkative and we like to talk about topics. So yeah,
I'm going to bonk you, Galaxy. I'm going to bonk you.
I'm trying to express how me
Galaxy
Daph,
is secretly a masochist. I think we need to learn to accept that.
She is a masochist.
Wait, and what? Excuse me?
He is literally Markiplier when he says, "I'm not a masochist."
What? Excuse me?
All right,
You
next
heard
topic.
me.
So we've recently seen excuse me. We've recently seen the Cuphead Show, season 1, and oh boy, who wants to go first?
Oh my god, no. Okay.
Well, you guys can talk about it because I only got to see episode 2, the last 2 episodes. So,
yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't say I'm very knowledgeable on the Fleischer era of animation, but I do know a bit, and like the animation in this show is like, it's dedicated. Like, I pointed this out to like Golden and everybody when we were watching it on the other night. Some of the fact that they use some of the live action model backgrounds in some scenes.
I love that.
To mimic the style they did in some of the old Popeye and Betty Boop cartoons. Just like from that to you had King Dice doing the Cab Calloway dance on stage and shit. It was a big love letter to that era of animation. Well, minus all the racist depictions and stuff. Anyways.
I mean, they're working with what was cool back then, but also erasing the problems, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the pie-eyed look in the eyes, the rubber hose with some of the animation. If you the animation nerd in me was just like squealing watching that show.
Do we need to unleash the beast again?
Okay. I am very meticulous. If you can't tell.
No shit.
So, okay. There is a scene where in the first episode I immediately knew this reference. So, you know how there's a scene where Cuphead and Mugman were into the what was it? It was like the clown fucking thing where they were just like trying to get through all these doors and shit. That's a reference to a Mark Fleischer animation, which was basically about Betty Boop and this particular character. And this particular character was trying to find this girl, or at the very least was trapped. And you could see how there's like several obstacles, and one of them is like the sliding doors and everything. I love that kind of reference. It's very subtle. If you don't know that kind of, if you don't notice it, it's there. Hold on, let me see if I can send y'all the thing, because like this particular reference in general just made me squeal on the inside. Oh, also, when he was talking about the props, dude, the way there are so many fucking like rubber hose animation just like skyrocketed something in me. Like this could actually like almost beat Spider-Verse as like the best animation experience I've ever had.
Wow.
Galaxy, that you keep been making that claim a lot recently.
Listen, this is where it's actually like reasonable.
Space Jam 2.
No, actually, yeah. But in this case, it's like, no, here's the thing. This is a lot more, I guess, in the more nostalgic way, more better than Space Jam 2.
I think you mean
like,
better.
If I'm gonna be real with you. Just, this could actually, because I love rubber hose animation. I've been at the very least knowledgeable about this shit for like a while, and so is Ryley. And I've wanted to do animation for some time, and this is probably going to be one of the reasons why I want to do animation as a job, or at the very least storyboarding for it. Because like a good example of this is like these kinds of animations have been a thing as of late, especially with the new Looney Tunes cartoons that have been a thing in HBO Max.
Oh yeah.
And also like
you could see how there's the what was it? The props that's been going on in the background, and oh, dude, the one with the fucking what was it? The vegetable episodes. There's this camera shot angle that made me. Oh, what?
Well, we don't want to spoil the entire show.
Fuck.
I know.
But it's not even like a specific like scene, but there's this like camera angle that made me like, oh my god, it's the little details. It's the little details that made me just excited. And with how they use like rubber hose animation is so smooth, like butter, no fucking BTS. Like,
Wait, what?
oh my god. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm trying my best to not spoil everything. Okay. But just everything about this animation is so good, especially with one of the characters that was basically I was apparently compared to.
Oh, yeah.
I do not see anything. I do not see the resemblance, but okay.
No, I remember that when we mentioned it, you're like, excuse me?
Chalice, how? Like,
spoilers.
I know, but I'm just saying, how am I Chalice?
But also, Blue Griffin, to explain what rubber hose animation was, that's kind of what Cuphead was, or what it was back in the 30s.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like rubber hose was using basically you use the hose of the arms and such. It's hard to describe, but
It's basically
I think
to put it in a way.
Right description.
To put it this way, think of the Spinell Other Friends music video.
That's right, I heard the story over and over.
Over and 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 over again.
So try not to, trying to avoid spoilers.
I am.
I was really happy with where the show was going. Like, I tried to keep my expectations low. They kept each plot in every episode simple, but also pulled something a little different. Like, you would kind of predict something would happen based on, like, old formulas, but it would shift to a different direction for the better. Because, like, some things that I would predict would be for the worst. I'd give examples, but
spoilers.
It would be spoilers. So it's really, really hard to pin that down. Even go as far as to say, I was going to make a hilarious statement about the end of the season, but again, spoilers.
And if you can tell, I was trying not to like spoil every single tidbit. I mean, like, I was just like, I was aggressively trying to not say shit.
Yeah. I will say this. It has been shown on YouTube. I adore the fucking opening to the show. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, like, honestly, like,
singing.
Yeah, no, just the way it opens up, it's all very old school and everything with the opening credits and such. Like, it's to an extent, it feels weird because whenever I see, like, an opening of a cartoon show from the 30s, it's more of a slide opening, da-da-da-da, like this presents and this with a series of credits, and then they get to an episode with, like, one of those old, like, circular transition openings and such. Like, it's a black screen and, like, you got this big ring expanding and we see the world.
Yeah, like an old Universal thing.
Yeah, like, that's what I thought it was going to be. But no, like, it has a different approach to it. The title cards, though, I think it's safe to kind of spoil that a little. They have their own creative title cards that have the same, like, font and looks like when you see the opening for The Wizard of Oz and they have that curvy sort of text to it and shit like that with all the little specks of dust that are on every frame. I love that style. It's like they reutilized it to an extent that it's aware that this is a reference to an older generation. I'm not trying to be that old generation, you know?
Yeah.
But also,
it's a good mixture of both.
Yeah, but also I do love the opening song, especially at the very beginning when it sounds a little haunting before the Cuphead, the two Cups characters make their appearance. Like, particularly like when that owl goes flying around and it has this haunting melody coming in. I don't know what it was, but it felt so magical every time I heard that.
Okay, I think we're all avoiding the elephant in the room here, though.
Okay, go ahead.
We all love the devil.
Yes! Again, like, I would
he
list
gives me,
out what my
like-
favorite episode is, and the favorite episode involves the devil, and it's funny as shit. Like,
He gives me like Mac Does It vibes.
You feel that way. I don't hear that from him, but he has
his voice kind of gives me that kind of vibe. I don't know what it was. I feel like it's because I watch his videos too much, but he just gives me that vibe.
go ahead, Riley.
Oh,
Anyways, he's such a big. He has what? It's hard to describe his voice. It's like a classic type of voice with type of thing. It's hard to. He's very snooty, but he's also hammy about it. He's such a fun character, and I can't wait to see more of him.
Oh, I can't wait to see more of this Cuphead show. Like, okay, so I try to keep my expectations low because up until then, I was hearing somewhat negative reviews that it's just too much style over substance. No, I think there actually is a clever sense of writing behind this. That they have some familiar ideal formulas that we remember where we could somewhat predict it, but then it takes a different turn, and that turn was for the better. So it's kind of it feels like it's reinventing the wheel without trying to be the wheel.
We should probably also address how it ties into the game. Thing is, though,
the plot is different.
The plot is different.
Very different.
The plot is different, but it has all the things.
It does have that premise where Cuphead and has this like
to the devil.
Yeah, like that's still there. But how it all comes to be in the first episode is way different compared to the opening story in the game. Because in the game, he gets involved in some kind of gambling thing, and he loses it, and like, oh, now you owe me your soul. And
my guess is that they probably had to get rid of that to make this a kid's cartoon for Netflix.
Which I'm not surprised about, but as far as the source material goes, they still stick with it. They would just have to change things up a bit. So, like, I think this is more of... This is kind of diving into a different subject about video game adaptations on a general basis that most people would just think, well, you gotta just... When I was a kid, I would always think, well, just follow the same story that the game would have. However, there's a plus and negative side to a lot of this. Games, like, as we said before, gameplay was more paramount than storytelling. When you think about the storytelling, how is that going to fit into a movie?
That's often the problem because you're transitioning from one form of entertainment to another.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out well. Like, case in point, many video game adaptations.
Yeah, and then there are those that have a story in there and they could work as a movie, but they still don't bother doing it. But you also have ones where the premise is just there and you just work with that premise. A similar point to this was the Sonic movie. Like, I didn't ever expect there to be a Sonic movie. Like obviously we have the ugly Sonic design, and then it was changed.
Oh god.
And then I was hearing that, okay, so there's a character who can run really fast. Okay, that's what can you do with it? If you're trying to follow, like, I knew that the movie was not going to follow exactly like the Genesis game. I mean, how are you going to try to translate something like Labyrinth Zone into a movie? How are you going to translate, I don't know, Marble Garden Zone, a place of ruins in there? It wasn't going to work. It's just a basic premise of a speeding hedgehog against a giant mad scientist who invents a lot of shit. And there have been different iterations of it in the past, even in its prime days when Sonic was first a thing in the 90s. Some of which were for the better. Sonic Sat AM, for instance, had a genius way of having some sort of dark, haunting sort of premise with Sonic, but still keep it kid-friendly and have somewhat of a cleverly subtle message of environmentalism. They had, like... Basically, they were just taking some personal liberties in order to make that work. So, with that in mind, when I saw that Cuphead had a different plot, and they had the same premise, I wasn't bothered by it. It's just basically, it's Cuphead against the devil. Like, they would have to find a plot to justify the means, of what makes the protagonist and the antagonist an antagonist. And in case in point, Cuphead has a thread dealing with this fucking devil character who's after his soul because he lost to something. And that's the general idea of it. So this is just one of those occasions where the source material is a lot more loose and you have to put more thought into, whatever it is you're translating. And this is just one of those cases. Just like with Sonic the Hedgehog. You have a hedgehog who runs really fast against an overweight mad scientist who just invents shit. And just go balls to the walls with it. And comparatively, like, you have games that actually have a story in mind, like a really complex story, and you don't bother using it. No.
Yeah. I should probably mention, too, this is one of the first indie games, highlighting that actually gets an adaptation of some kind besides a game adaptation.
You know what? Yeah. Go ahead.
It's
even
funny.
like Five Nights at Freddy's actually has that treatment.
It's funny. I still remember playing this game for the first time in, PAX East 2015. The demo version just had you going up against the bosses with like somebody else who was in line. We maybe got past one or two bosses, and it was just extremely hard back then, even during the demo version. So, and then the game comes out. It's gorgeous. It's like playing a 1930s cartoon.
And then everybody got their balls rocked.
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't beaten the game, and there are times like
I still haven't beaten it, but it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, Keyframe and I still remember we would stream together playing the fucking game. At one point, I was trying to face that goddamn dragon, and I would always get stuck with it. Like, I was like, maybe I should work with that little homing thing, and maybe that would work. No, I still got my ass kicked. I still got my balls rocked. Like, So, I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't know if you were there, if you saw it, any of you, Ryley, or if you guys saw it. When Keyframe and I fucking beat that boss, I was on my feet. Yeah, fuck you, you son of a bitch. Like, it was so personal. I scared the ever-living fuck out of Key.
So that's basically
considering
that's basically how I felt after I beat Demix for the first time in Kingdom Hearts 2.
What the fuck's going on with OBS? Why are we getting skip frames?
Oh, no.
No. There it goes. I hope the internet's not, like, dropping balls on itself.
I guess you could say when you say you got your balls rocked.
Yeah.
You got your balls rocked and rolled.
Galaxy.
Fit.
No.
Galaxy, I'm gonna hit you with this nail polish bottle.
So has the Cuphead show been? Have we heard if there's going to be a season 2 yet?
Actually,
we haven't.
I heard from Keyframe that we're gonna have different portions of season 1, which I think it's kind of weird. Like, this was news to me, and then she told me afterwards, what's that show called? The show with the horse head guy.
BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman, yeah. That BoJack Horseman had different portions of one particular season, and then they would do like season 2 and season 3 and such.
Okay.
So it's just that's weird, but okay. But yeah, we were able to pretty much go through season 1 of the Cuphead show within like 2 hours. They're really, really short. If you have a Netflix membership, I definitely recommend you check it out. Again, we can't give out any spoilers.
Yeah, they're like less than 15 minutes each, and there's like
it's not even 15 minutes.
11.
Like the last 4 minutes is just a series of credits. Like, even after the episode ends, there's like after credits. Really, each episode is like 11 minutes.
Yeah, like the typical TV 11-minute episode.
Which I think is appropriate.
Yeah.
All right, so anybody else have anything to say about the Cuphead show?
No, just
I love
go watch it.
If I don't get to spoil it, I'll say this much. I love it a
Go
lot.
watch it. Go fucking watch it. You know, some people are saying that it's like, oh, it's style over substance. No, it's worth a watch. It's simple. That's what they were aiming for, and it did just that. Simple. So,
Yeah.
And for much more complex matters, I think it's time we talk about one of the last final topics before we get to Q&A, and that is picking our movies of 2021. Cinepix of the Year. Yes, I'm sticking with that title, Cinepix. Come on. Maybe it's probably trying too hard. All right.
No. I was trying to make a joke about that. I'm not even gonna do it.
Okay. So, because the podcast went on for a really long time, we want to kind of keep it brief of what our picks are. Unlike the last time we did, unlike the last time where we did Cinepix of, Cinepix of the Summer, we're actually going by what our top 3 are. And if maybe just to throw things in the mix, you can pick what movie you thought was the worst, if you're willing to. I don't really have much to say on what a worst movie would be. Maybe I would have something or two to vent about, but regardless, who wants to go first?
Hey, Ryley.
What?
He's going first. He said that he wants to go first.
I never said that.
Dude, Sleepy, do you know what you just did? It's like that scene.
What?
You pulled off a trick similar to White Chicks, where there was a bidding scene, and one of the 2 characters is saying 450 or making a higher bid of some kind at an auction, and he would hit somebody, and they would raise their arm or tickle themselves to draw the attention. You did that to Ryley. Yeah, and for that,
I mean, to be fair, it was like only 1 second of silence, so I would think that someone would actually say something.
I was grabbing a cold one. I didn't know what was going on. I just heard my name and I was like, what?
Well, for that, Sleepy, I'm going to have you go first. Pick your top 3, and if you want, include what movie you thought was your worst. Not your worst, the worst. So, fire away.
I would say, let's see here.
Must choose.
I think though, I mean, this is not, again, unpopular opinion. And it's, again, I'm gonna keep this in mind. Not my cup of tea, most likely. Dune.
Oof.
Wow.
Dune, it's aight. It doesn't, like, here's the thing. If you guys like the book, I would, like, I haven't read the book, but I would like to read the book first before actually, like, enjoying to see what the film is. Because this particular adaptation just didn't grab me onto the series that much. Kind of similar with, like, I think Harry Potter and a few others.
Galaxy, by the way, if you do decide to read Dune, the book...
Yeah?
The only thing I remember about Dune was that Flitter Kriz dubbed me the Worm Rider.
I mean, I think that's the only thing good about it in terms of, like, something that's memorable is the fucking worms, and that's about it. Because you guys basically mentioned the worms.
Golden, you okay there? Golden?
Def?
Golden?
Permission to put Sleepy in the fucking kitchen sink. How dare you? How dare you?
Listen, you would have to get me like some form of attention to this series in order for me to like it. I have never seen this movie in my entire life, mind you.
Okay, so this is Golden right now.
Listen, you would have to get me into some Clockwork Orange bullshit to even get into Dune. Like, it's like kind of the same thing with like Harry Potter. Again, it's because it's overhyped in terms of like, not Dune. I'm not saying that Dune is overhyped. I've never seen anyone talk about Dune until you guys did. It's just that it doesn't grab me as much.
If you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. It's the fact that you picked this as what you thought was the worst movie of the year. Like, ouch!
You say that to the soundtrack. I mean, That fucking soundtrack.
Okay, when you do it, it actually it makes it worse, if anything, when you do it.
I'm going to put you in the sink, and I'm gonna turn on the garbage disposal. And then you're gonna be like Panda, goo.
I think she
And
wants
I'm
to
just
be.
saying.
I'm gonna.
I'm just saying, okay? I'm not saying this as like, oh, you guys should hate it too. Like, no, if you guys like it, it's fine. It never grabbed my soul the way some movies did.
Golden, if I may, can I turn her into goo and then put her in a litter box?
Yes.
How would that even be possible if you were to put me in the litter box?
You're gonna be the witch. Put you in disposal. You're gonna turn into goo, and I'm gonna pour that goo, which is basically you, in the litter box. And then the cat.
How would they consume the goo in the litter box? First of all, like, wouldn't that be too much?
Galaxy. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I think we're kind of going a little too far on the deep
Yeah.
end. Okay, go with your top three.
Top three.
Okay. It's kind of because I was gonna say Squid Games, but that's an entire series.
That's
so
a
I'm not even
series,
gonna go
not a
there.
movie.
Galaxy.
Well, it feels like guys.
Galaxy, you've been giving us a list for like the past. You gotta decide.
She can't decide if she wants
Okay.
to live or die.
Okay, number 1 is Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop. Number 2 is MLP Movie. Number 3 is actually Space Jam 2.
Okay. So why are these your picks?
Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop because it's actually like a really cute, like, in terms of comfort movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this as like a reverse. So basically number 1 is Words and number 3 is Space Jam 2.
Okay.
Words is also because it's very comfort food, very like cutesy, and that's it. Number 2 is the MLP Movie because like, okay, say this, I'm gonna say this much. I don't hate the film. Okay? It's just that there's some flaws that's been holding it back for me to being like the best thing ever, or like the best thing since sliced bread. It's not a bad film though, by all means. It's just that there are some flaws that actually like people pointed out that made me like, oh, all right, but it's the visual aspect that actually, or like at the very least the soundtrack too, that grabbed my attention a little bit more. I think number 3 is Space Jam 2. I know, coming from me, that's heresy, especially considering with how much I've been talking about Space Jam 2 as like one of my favorite things. But considering what's been on the list, yeah. Basically, I've just been juggling with what would be my favorite movies or like animated movies at this point. So yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hey, I'm not saying that it's a bad movie though. It's just that Space Jam 2 happens to be the most controversial out of the entirety of this list.
I'm surprised Belle didn't make your list.
Oh, Belle! Oh my god! No, actually, no. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to throw MLP Movie to the side. Bye, bitch. Belle is also fucking good. No, actually, fucking Jesus Christ. No, here's the thing. What's kind of funny too? I remember watching Belle with Ryley. I said this to him that this beats like I think Space Jam 2 or Promare, like right next to Spider-Verse. It's like one of the best animated experiences of movies I've ever seen. And I remember him just like going like batshit and just like angry at me for that saying. So I would say Belle would be number 1 because Belle is actually a really good film, especially with how like it's an anime version of Ready Player One.
but good.
Also, not to mention, you know the designer for Over the Moon and Frozen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He actually did the what was it? He actually did the character designer for Belle. Or
Yeah,
like
Glenn
one of the
Keane.
characters from Belle, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Glenn. Yeah. Heard that. Yeah.
So fucking yeah, Belle is one of my favorite movies of this year, or at the very least last year, and possibly topping Promare as like one of the best animated movies I've seen in recent years.
Who are you and what have you done with Galaxy?
Listen, I've just been juggling with this shit at this point.
Apparently.
Yeah.
All right, so if there's nothing else to add, who else would like to go next?
Ryley, do you want to go?
Okay.
Yeah.
So my top 3 films for this year are number 3, Encanto, number 2, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, and number 1, which I have been raving about for like the past month now, Tick Tick Boom.
I wonder what that movie
Galaxy,
is.
I swear
Let
to God,
him finish. Let him finish.
Galaxy, I'm going to throw you in the toilet if you don't stop with that.
You were saying, Ryley?
Yeah, and Tick Tick Boom, like Mitchell's vs. Machine. I'm just gonna go through the other 2 real fast because like Encanto, I feel like everybody's gonna say what needs to be said about that film. The
We
music
don't
is
talk
amazing.
about Bruno.
But the thing that really gets to me about that film is how it's not really a movie where the lesson is towards the children. It's more towards the adults in the family and stuff, and just that family
Yeah.
dynamic and how you can hold on to this vision of perfection for your family and not just let them be themselves and such. But that's all I'll say for Encanto, because I'm sure you guys will have plenty to say about that. Mitchell's vs. Machines,
Mwah.
another one. Just as an animation fan and just everything about that film just screams creativity and just passion put into it. Like, you have, like, Gravity Falls writers behind the scenes. You have Phil Lord and Chris Miller. You have Alex Hirsch. It just, like, the entire, like, style of that just has been showing that Sony's been on kind of a roll when it comes to their animation stylistically. And I'm yeah. But my number 1, Tick Tick Boom, is because it is a film that has meant a great deal to me because I relate heavily to the main character of the film. Golden, what do you know about this film?
Tick Tick Boom?
Yeah.
I have not seen it yet, but I've heard a lot about it. I didn't really focus too much on it because I'm not too big on musicals. Like, I was really impressed with Hamilton, but then I hear names like, what was it? Waving Through a Window? What's it called? Dear
Evan Hansen.
one called Harry or something like that.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen. What's it called? Heathers, and like there was one about Heathers. There's like so many different names. Hamilton impressed me, but hearing all these other titles, it just didn't grab my attention that much. So I can't really say too much about it. And it's really because I'm just not big on musicals on a general basis. I respect them for what they are, and I do like that they were, making a story about how a creator was fighting through tooth and nail to make something happen. It's kind of like with what it's called, Saving Mr. Banks, about the production of Mary Poppins. Or there was a movie somewhere about the writer for A Christmas Carol and how he was trying to write everything from, what's his name, Scrooge Ebenezer?
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Ebenezer Scrooge, yeah. And the list goes on. I like it when there are those origin stories behind the creator's mind and how it would all come to life. Or Finding Neverland, which is about the writing process of Peter Pan.
Well, here, like, the thing about, like, Tick Tick Boom is, yes, it's about this struggling, it's about this artist by the name of Jonathan Larson. And if you don't know who Jonathan Larson was, he was the creator of Rent. And
Right.
love it or hate it, Rent was a big thing on Broadway, and it kind of changed the Broadway landscape. Here's the thing about him, and I don't consider this a spoiler because this is based on an actual human being. He died in 1996, right before the premiere of Rent on Broadway.
In other words, he didn't get a chance to see
success.
his. Yeah, he didn't get a chance to see his work be so beloved.
But this film is basically based on a offstage production that he had developed between his original show that he was trying to make, that this movie is based on his life during that time, and how he was trying to make this futuristic rock musicals thing, because back then, like, rock really wasn't part of the musical scene, as you may know. That's changed now, and they've even introduced rap and stuff with Hamilton and such, and In the Heights, and he's also feeling like he's about to turn 30, and he's realizing he hasn't really accomplished anything in his life, and that is a very big mood for me, and it's very personal because I turned 30 this past year.
I mean, I think this is something that is personal for a lot of us.
Oh yeah. But there's that feeling you get when you're a creative person, you reach this
age
point in your life. Yeah, you get this point in your life where I'm not a kid anymore, and yet I haven't really done anything or accomplished anything, at least.
Yep.
And it's showing that aspect, and how sometimes you need to recognize that this thing that you love, and that it's gonna take some time. You're not. Yes, you're turning 30. That doesn't mean it's the end of what your aspirations are and such. It's all about the creative drive in a person, and like, it's based. This movie. Sorry, it's hard to get my head together because this movie's just meant so much. The songs are amazing. They're all written by Jonathan Larson, obviously, and retold through Lin-Manuel Miranda's way. And the musical segments are done in only a way somebody who really loves musical could show. Like, it's a musical, but it's a movie that takes advantage of being on the big screen as a musical. Because sometimes there's that transition where all they try and do is recreate what's on stage, basically. But no, there are some scenes that go beyond in this, and it's hard to explain.
I figured it would be hard to explain.
Here's the thing: as the movie is going through, you also see the stage version as play of Jonathan Larson and his two co-stars, who are played by Vanessa Hudgens and another actor that I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And sometimes you'll get this juxtaposition between what's going on in his life that the songs are based off of and stuff like that, and then how he's performing the songs and stuff. And you'll see that, like, in songs like Therapy and such, which are the way these songs are shot and the way they kind of cut into the emotions of the characters is just, if this comes out on Blu-ray, I'm buying it day one, basically.
I'm sure of it.
Film.
It just like the day comes out, you're like, shut up and take my money.
Basically. Like, this, I'm really surprised and slightly disappointed that the Oscars didn't nominate it for Best Picture, but then again, it's the Oscars. But
award shows
really
are garbage.
It also showcased it cemented how much of a great actor Andrew Garfield really was, or is, I should say. Like, I had heard he was a great actor before even the Spider-Man films. Like, he had almost been nominated. Like, he was in The Social Network for one and such. But I heard he could sing. Damn, could he sing?
He definitely can fucking sing.
And just the way I'm sorry, it's just trying to go over like the details that come in. Like, they were so dedicated to making this film that they completely recreated Jonathan Larson's apartment in his old job place, like the Moonlight Diner, and even the people who knew Jonathan Larson in real life saw the set for the recreation of his apartment. They said it was like stepping back in time and seeing it again. And there's this one song that I'm not going to spoil that happens in the diner. And if you are a Broadway fan, you will definitely have a treat there. Anyways, I could go on forever, but if you are a creative person, regardless of whether you love musicals or not, I definitely would recommend this, especially if you're just like, you're feeling just like defeated and like, I'm getting too old or some stuff. It's a good reminder.
Okay, then.
And watch Tick Tick Boom. That's all I can really say.
All right, then. So, Def, would you like to share yours?
Yeah.
And remember, try to keep it brief. Sorry.
I'm gonna try to keep it brief. No worries. I'll try to keep it brief. So my picks were. You're fine, Riley. My picks were the technically sequel of Candyman, Malignant, and of course Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time.
That's a mouthful.
I mean, the Evangelion franchise kind of had that. So, to make a long story short, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1, fuck it, we'll just call it Evangelion 4, pretty much was Hideki is pretty much sort of creator Hideki Anno's attempt at recreating the Evangelion franchise. And I think, to make a very, very difficult process, this movie took years for him to fucking push out. And I do mean years. The last film came out in the third part, because this was part of a four-part saga. The third film came out in 2014 or 2015. And this one took pretty much several years to come out. It only took until this year to finally be released. It was supposed to be released last year, last year, but then the pandemic came in and kind of ruined everything.
The COVID nation attacked. Pretty
much. So this movie is intended to be, as I mentioned before, Hideki Anno's way of trying to wrap up his own interpretation, his own reinterpretation of Evangelion. Which, for those who are unfamiliar, Evangelion was an anime from the 90s that focused on a post-apocalyptic future where these entities known as angels come in and basically try to do something evil while humanity is trying to recover after an event known as Second Impact pretty much wiped out the planet. But the anime went less and less about mecha robots and the hero and the main characters trying to save the world to basically Hideki Anno going on about his depression and his mental issues he was dealing with at the time, and the characters reflecting that. This movie is sort of like the anime, but it tries to reinterpret it in a much more, I guess, as TV Trope says, with medication, but it's not saying much because it's still fucked up. Now, with Thrice Upon a Time, it has its flaws. I'm not going to say it's perfect because Wolfhead and I actually sat together and watched all 4 movies, and while it definitely has its moments of things I could criticize it, I think it actually did a really good job closing the franchise. Because Hideki Anno did say quite straightforward that this would be his final touch with the Evangelion franchise. He wouldn't be done. He wouldn't be permanently done with it, but he would be stepping away from it after dealing with this saga, especially since technically it took him 2 decades to finish it. The movies, what I do like about this movie is that unlike the original anime and technically also the revised ending they did for the anime, this one actually has one thing that I really like, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but honestly at this point I think everyone should have at least be familiar with Evangelion at this point. It's pretty much reflecting on the idea of forgiveness to others, and by some extension, forgiveness to yourself. Because throughout the entire movie, all 4 movies, the main character Shinji literally has the issue of constantly thinking that he has to make people happy in order for him to be happy, even though he himself is very miserable. And every single time he tries to do this, he literally fucks up a lot. And with the 4th movie, he finally decides to take responsibility for everything that he done, even if he didn't intend to do it, and he ends up becoming better. And he actually ends up making peace with all the characters he ended up hurting throughout the franchise, including a certain character who, personally for me, I felt should have not gotten a redemption, but yet this movie literally made me feel sorry for him, which is saying a lot. I'm not going to go too far into super spoiler territory because I do recommend people watch the movies, even if you haven't watched the anime, because honestly, these are just reinterpretations in its own flair. At least the first 2 movies followed the anime well. The 3rd and 4th movie just kind of went, oh, Hideki Anno ended up throwing his medication out the window again. My second choice, Malignant, is a pretty good horror movie. It's one of those like typical movies you would just get around with friends and watch. But here's the thing I like about it. Many people tend to criticize the movie's director, James Wan, for recent years, like for making just movies that are jump scare central, because he's made movies like The Conjuring and also terrible movies like the first Annabelle film, even though I think he just produced that one. And if I recall correctly as well, The Curse of La Llorona, which, by the way, that's an insult to the fucking Llorona. I honestly think that it really fucking sucks. But Malignant is pretty much what I would consider what would happen if you allowed James Wan to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to make a horror movie, but I'm just going to go batshit insane with it. In other words, he channeled his Sam Raimi, the guy who did Evil Dead, and just went wild with this movie. It's less of a horror movie and more like a weird action horror movie-based movie. And I love every fucking minute of it. It's ridiculous, it's stupid, it's over the top, but it's fucking awesome for that entire reason. It's so damn entertaining, and even though the plot makes no fucking sense, and trust me, you literally will find out why the movie's called Malignant, it's good for those particular reasons as well. Plus, any movie that literally has the line, it's time to cut out the cancer, unironically, they fucking knew what they were writing. But this brings me to my number 1 choice, and the movie that I think did a really good job with what it was trying to tell. Candyman. Candyman's the new Candyman is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best examples of a sequel. And I know that some people were very critical about it, at least mainly because of what it was trying to be, but I like it for the particular reason. Now, for those who are very unfamiliar, Candyman, the movie Candyman, at least the original, was about a woman. This new Candyman pretty much takes place after the events of the first movie. This artist, takes interest in the area of Cabrini Green, which I think was in Chicago? Was it in Chicago?
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. Takes interest in the newly re-established areas of what once was Cabrini Green, which was a very, very shitty area to live in, especially if you were African American, because this was basically for lower class families to live in. He takes interest in the area, in the abandoned areas, because of its backs, because of all the dark sins and such, and the way that black people were treated. But he also takes interest in the old mythical legend that used to be in the area. of Candyman, where pretty much in the original movie, the main character Helen, who was doing a thesis report for about Candyman for her college, had felt that the people in the Cabrini Green area had used Candyman as a way to sort of
cope with the
trauma and the difficulties of living in an area like that.
Yeah.
So he decides, okay, this is kind of something I really want to take interest in. And so he decides to make art pieces about Candyman. This unfortunately ends up
spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but
okay.
Let's just say it ends up causes something to come back. And it's definitely a very chilling story because of it. Now, even though this is going into like super deep territory, I myself may not be black. I'm Mexican. But as a minority, yeah, we go through a lot when it comes to through being mistreated and usually being of lower class environments. So, yeah, there are times where we'll use anything to cope with that type of situation. If we're in a bad area, we'll definitely find a way to try to cope with something like this. But I think what made Candyman work so well was that you can find relatability to it in the current era as well. Especially with current events, which I'm not going to touch upon because, yeah, that fucking thing, it's its own can of worms, and I myself am not qualified to talk about it. But when you watch the movie and you see what it's trying to speak, it actually does a pretty good job with it, even without the horror elements.
Should we talk about its connection to the original films or leave that out?
I actually do want to talk about its connection to the original films, but at least try to avoid spoilers.
Keep it really, really brief.
Yeah. The one thing I do like what the movie does is that, yes, they do acknowledge the aspects of the original film, such as Helen's connection, as well as the original legend of the Candyman, but also what seems to be multiple interpretations of the legend, and how the main character, the artist, begins to sort of reflect that in it. But unfortunately, because of what he's doing, it starts to sort of, in essence, create the legend of Candyman again, and of course, bring him back. But the thing that's also really good is that you kind of start to realize that a lot of these people who were connected to the legend were also, unfortunately, victims of mistreatment. Specifically, black people. Which, again, considering current events, you can very much relate to the concept of what the movie's trying to say. And I think it did a really fucking good job about it. The director, I keep forgetting what her fucking name is. I really feel bad about forgetting her name because she did a really good job with it. Nia Da Costa did a really fucking good job with this film, especially considering you have to take a concept like Candyman, which, on paper, when you read it, it sounds cheesy, and then you look at Tony Todd's original design, which kind of was a little bit ridiculous. He's supposed to be a menacing figure, but you can't really take him seriously because he's wearing a fucking damn pimp coat but he's still pretty terrifying with that hook. And yet she still is able to make the Candyman terrifying in this movie. Then again, having Jordan Peele be one of the writers kind of does that for you.
Yeah.
So again, if you want a very, very good horror movie, and especially with touching upon real, current situations in a very brilliant way, yeah, Candyman's definitely one I recommend. But I do at least recommend that you watch the first Candyman. At least the first one. You don't have to watch the other sequels because those sequels apparently are thrown out the window. But at least watch the first one. It may not use a lot of references to the first one, but it's at least important to at least watch the first one before jumping to the sequel.
Yeah. What about Malignant?
Oh, dude, as I mentioned before, Malignant was completely batshit insane.
I didn't even see that as a horror film, honestly. It was just
It was nuts. It was so fucking nuts.
I still remember all of our reactions to that one scene near the end when Golden came in near the end. He was like, "What the fuck?"
I still like I say it once, I'll say it again. It's like if fucking James Wan fucking decided, you know what, I want to pull a Sam Raimi and just go batshit with this movie. I mean, considering this is the same guy who gave us Saw, the first Saw, mind you, not the other weird as hell sequels, but the original Saw. I'm actually surprised he decided to go this way. Plus, again, a movie that could say the line, "It's time to cut out the cancer," unironically, is fucking a win in my book.
Golden?
Is that all with your picks?
Yes, that's all my picks.
All right.
Hey, Panda.
Yeah. Hi. We're streaming.
Golden?
Okay.
Golden's your choices.
All right. So, I'm gonna briefly go over mine, and I'm gonna try to do this with the most civil way possible. So, my top three, started at number 3, is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Shut up, Ryley. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I will try not to spoil anything because somebody didn't watch it yet, even though it's out on DVD.
What did I
We'll
say?
get around to it. I'm pretty much sure Wolfhead and I will watch it after we watch Watchmen, of course.
I saw it with Joey.
So, trying to refresh my memory without giving any spoilers. I did hear from Key that she actually shed a tear near the end. Again, not spoilers or anything, but it was a respectful send-off to one of the actors who was a huge part of Ghostbusters, that being Harold Ramis. The new cast of characters, which included Finn Wolfhard, you have this young girl, you have you have a few other kids in which I don't remember the actors' names. They definitely have their moments, and how it all comes down to is an unfinished sort of business with what the Ghostbusters were trying to do, or at least to one of the members. The way they handled this, in terms of passing the torch, was done better than a lot of other long-awaited sequels, or sort of sequels, that were from a long, long period of time without doing anything disrespectful to the previous ones. I've been hearing every once in a while that they think that this is just fan service, or that it's just a fan fiction, or whatever the hell it is you call it. Then what was Answer the Call? What do you want if you want another Ghostbusters movie? For many, many years, Ghostbusters 3 was all over the place. Or the production, or the idea behind it. And it was never really solidified. Yes, Ryley?
Well, the problem with that is that Bill Murray would not agree on a script for the film, so that's why it kept being put off.
Why did he disagree?
I don't know. Bill was known for a while for being kind of really picky with that film. I don't know. He kept passing on scripts for the film for years.
I think with some people too, most just before obviously this movie, it was normally accepted that the Ghostbusters video game was technically the only, at least for some of them, that was considered Ghostbusters 3. Because, hey, if they couldn't get the fucking movie because Bill Murray was a picky motherfucker, then at least the video game offered a decent, good story.
Well, okay. But this is movies we're talking about. If you want to include, I find that incredibly silly and dishonest if you're going to make a game and call that a third entry of a movie series. You know,
I'm only mentioning it because I think I remember James Rolfe mentioned it and said that he felt that was the third movie we never got.
Well, okay, that was just his choice of words. But if it was said something for the crew members, that would have been very dishonest, because that's like saying you have to read the MLP comics to know the show better. Nobody should have to go through other external material.
Touche.
So I see Ghostbusters Afterlife as the true third entry that is, to an extent, passing the torch to the family line. And how they wrote these characters, like this little girl who's pretty much just another type of Egon, I'm going to put that in layman's terms, who has a very odd way of like how she like how odd she is in general.
Bad jokes, basically.
What?
She says a lot of bad jokes.
Who says a lot of bad jokes? And you said he. Who are you talking about?
She. The granddaughter, she says a lot of bad jokes on purpose
to
make people laugh.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. I thought you were saying like, wait, was this written as some kind of joke behind the writer or something? No.
No, remember all the
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's I thought you meant in a different context. But this was a very good way of passing the torch to these new set of characters in a more respectful sense compared to the other sequel titles, to which even compared to what I think is extremely overhated than it needs to be, the Star Wars trilogy, because Luke Skywalker wasn't the way they wanted. Somebody actually made a point about something, and that was Luke ran away from his problems and didn't want to face them head on, which to them that doesn't register as the Luke people remember, okay? A lot of time has gone by, and it seemed more like he was written as a coward, which, again, this is going to be a whole different rabbit hole. But with Egon, he left the crew because he had unfinished business that everybody else didn't agree with. And seeing how they contribute to the movie, I'm going to say it like that, it's cutting, what is it called? It's tying loose ends to a situation or a problem that was on their end. Again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. But this was executed in a very respectful way that gives a good, respectful send-off to Harold Ramis and some of the actors who got to replay their roles in portions. I don't think this is a fan fiction, because some people just assume that. I heard that cough, Ryley.
No, I wouldn't say that, but I was actually clearing my throat.
Okay.
Like I've said, I like the film. I don't know. I'm very mixed ethically about the ending.
Okay.
Like at first I was like, oh yeah, this is touching and stuff like that, but then after a while I started thinking about it, and I'm not going to go into it for spoiler reasons.
Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that. Ghostbusters Afterlife I thought was amazing. Like, not as in like it doesn't exceed the original. I don't think anything is going to top the original. The original had its own hilarious, charmful writing, from using a Twinkie as a metaphor or a way of explaining something about the psychokinetic energy in the New York area, to tearing some asshole apart, calling him dickless on top of that. Like, nothing's going to top that. But Afterlife, I found it to be a very respectful entry in its own way, and finding closure to the franchise that it kind of needed for a long time. So moving on to number 2 is Dune Part 1. Fuck you, Galaxy. Dune Part 1 was fucking beautiful. That movie was needed. It was
I said
needed.
what I said, bitch. I said what I said.
I'm talking.
I just imagine him hitting
Dune
her with like
Dune Part 1 is objectively good, and you're dead wrong for calling it the worst. Because
I don't know about objectively, but
I am going to explain. Shut up, and I will explain. One, the original was dog shit. David Lynch regretted it. It needed a remake. 2, the exposition that it was there for was in portions at a fluent pace. If you saw the original, you would have given up in the first 5 minutes compared to this one. Yes, it's slow. Yes, there's few action scenes. It was needed to give out and flesh out the characters.
Maybe if it were to be, okay, I can understand. I think you've mentioned this at one point, that the creator of the series as a whole did not like the original movie, and I can understand that. However, this didn't grab me as much. Maybe if it were to be on the part 2, yeah, I can get grabbed onto it, like fucking telekinesis and all that. But the fact of the matter is, I still think it's not my cup of tea, even if it's like I categorized as one of the worst movies, but it's not really the worst movie I've seen. And if anything, I feel as if it's like, if that's your thing, it's fine. I'm just not personally into it. Maybe if I were to watch the part 2, or at the very least, like the second part of the movie, which would probably release sometime next year or something, then I would probably get grabbed onto it. I'm probably going to make myself look like a dumbass, which is fine.
Okay. So there is a difference between finding something that just didn't suit well with you and literally picking that as a worse.
That was like, not gonna lie, that was the only first movie I've thought of.
Galaxy, my response. Galaxy.
What?
Okay, I think the newspaper was a little overboard right there.
You're basically Edna Mode hitting Mrs. Incredible with the newspaper.
Yes.
Okay, so, but in all honesty, Dune Part 1 was filled with atmosphere, and yes, with Deafhorse, I love the soundtrack. I love how each of the characters served their purpose. I am still waiting for Part 2. From what I've been hearing, it's supposed to be more action-packed. I can't say much about that. They're still working on the project. They're still working on the movie. I do hope that it comes out soon, because I am very, very eager to see it. I know that Dune is not for everybody. I'm not going to go and just, rain on everybody who shits on it, or just, what I mean is, if they don't care about it. That's the better term. I mean, I've already attacked Galaxy for picking Dune as a worst movie of the year. Yikes. That's still a big yikes.
If it's not my thing, it might be the worst. I said what I said, okay?
All right, then.
But it's not the worst thing, though. I feel like the worst movie I've seen in terms of, like, worst, and I thought about it, like, right after I said Dune was the worst, even though it wasn't really, was the Dear Evan Hansen movie.
Oh, the one where they hired that much, much older actor because such and such behind the curtains?
Yeah. Not to mention they removed a specific, like, this is from the musical, so I feel like I should probably spoil it. They removed a particular important scene, mind you, where Evan Hansen was basically getting shitted on by all the people that was involved in his scheme of actually, like, trying to make it seem like this person who was actually dead and him were besties. And people called him out on it. They removed that particular part where he was getting his ass beaten. So he didn't even face charges of his own, like, crimes, if anything, in that movie.
Okay, you know what? That I will agree with you as something of what would be the worst movie. Compared to
Dune
just, like,
yeah.
It's not your thing, but I would agree that Dear Evan Hansen was a movie 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Infamous.
Very, very infamous. So, I do have my turn for what my pick of the worst is. It's a bit of a tie there, but until I get that, I'm going to put a pin on it and go for my number one pick, and that is The Mitchells versus the Machines. I've stuck with that movie throughout the entire year. I remember when I was first introduced to it, it was originally going to be called Connected, which is, okay, it's just a pun, whatever. A lot of titles have silly puns these days, and then they called it The Mitchells versus the Machines, which threw me off at first because I thought, that's a pretty complex title. I think Connected was simple. But it makes more sense now than ever. It's somewhat tacky, but it's charming. It's charming because the family is incredibly unusual. And that unusualness was cranked up to 11 while playing off of the idea of technology going too far and going against humanity and commenting on how much we always take technology for granted. Now, there have been many, many, many movies like that done before in many different ways. Terminator, The Matrix, to films like a certain movie that Sony is also guilty of that we don't mention.
Well, it was basically everybody thought the trailer made it seem like it was just one of those phone bad messages, but it's really not.
It isn't. It's about how people need to take time away from their phones or away from their online source, get out and get some fresh air, and just appreciate everything around you, not just what's on your phone, but with other people in person. And that is something that the family needed. Something that the father was trying to get them to understand. He had the wrong approach, but that's what made him a character to develop, that maybe he shouldn't take things to, extreme measures. Also, I really love the different animation styles that were, like, implemented throughout a majority of the film. So, yeah, you have that, on top of the fact that you have the two god animating directors, I'm going to call them that at this point, Chris Miller and Phil Lord. Everything they have touched has been gold so far. The Lego Movie, Into the Spider-Verse, still one of my favorite movies, even more than The Mitchells versus the Machines. But the Mitchells versus the Machines was genius in its own way, of taking existing material but having a deep spin on it, from something mundane to something to really, really comedically well timed, which, even looking back at it, I still laugh my ass off at some of the running jokes, particularly the dog. Dog, pig, loaf of bread, system error. Pig.
These side robots were hilarious.
Absolutely. So just, they made each moment, like, even for moments that you could feel are awkward or cringy, they managed to balance that out somehow. Like, it just, through its dialogue and through how other characters would react along with, I had nothing to complain about with this film. Now, choosing this over Dune is kind of silly in that regard, but you need a good time as much as having something to think about. And that's why I would pick this as my top pick for movies of 2021. Pardon me for that belch. Now, I know that some of you, like, you had the option of whether or not you wanted to go for the worst. My pick for the worst, because Galaxy decided to break rules and rearrange the list. This is a two-way tie here, and it's for frustrating reasons. And it's not Dear Evan Hansen, but it's in regards to video game adaptations.
Oh dear.
The first of which was Mortal Kombat. I wanted to like it more, but the thing that always reminds me of is Cole Young. Who the fuck is Cole Young? What's so important about him? What about Liu Kang? Yeah, what about Liu Kang? What about Scorpion? The characters that people recognize? Oh, it turns out that Cole Young was a character that Warner Brothers pitched in because they wanted to have something to connect a neutral audience. Maybe you should have watched the first movie to take notes, you morons.
I think the thing with Cole Young is, like, they're trying to add in a new character, similar with how like certain characters that have been recently added to certain games could be a thing. It's just that they're putting this in the movie, and I kind of get how that could be frustrating.
Like, if they wanted to include this Cole Young for, like, another entry of Mortal Kombat in the gaming series or something, I would have been fine with that. It would have been a silly risk, but you're working with material that people already recognized for almost 2 decades, if not 3 decades. You just throw this random character in there? Okay, let's assume that somebody has no idea what Mortal Kombat is about.
Yeah.
The Paul W.S. Anderson film does a better job with that. Who's Liu Kang? He's a character in a fighting game, but he's a character with motivations and whatever the movie tries to do on that regard. Cole Young, he cares about his family. And his superpowers is plot armor. Like,
literal
plot armor. It's
literal plot armor.
That's the big glaring issue. Like, it had so much potential to justify the problems, or at least the one glaring issue that people had with the 90s version. It was rated PG-13. They did have some pretty graphic material, but the companies wanted to make the film marketable for a wider audience, completely disregarding the fact that Mortal Kombat was first controversial for its blood and gore. Well, we have,
Would you?
and then you have the blood and gore, but let's just throw in a new character to connect with the neutral audience. You had Liu Kang. You had Johnny Cage. You've got so many other characters to choose from. You have a giant ass motherfucking roster that's been around for decades, and you decide to throw this random character who's the equivalent of pepperoni flatbread. And that is the one glaring issue that makes it so frustrating. Yes, Sleepy, go ahead.
How do I put this? Again, it's one of those things where they have to add a certain character, so that way, like, let's say they would put this in the game, the next adaptation. But he seems to have potential. Would you say that, here's the thing, would you say that this movie is worse than Annihilation, though?
No. Annihilation is a pile of garbage that deserves to be chucked into the sun and never looked at again.
Too bad.
At the very least, like,
God damn it,
here's the thing about this one. It's not the worst thing in terms of Mortal Kombat. I can see how it's very neutral. But at the very least, it's not Annihilation. Because if this were, again, if Annihilation were to be released this year, oh my god. No, I would have been ranting a lot about it if it were to be released this year.
I don't
like, at the very least with
Go ahead.
This movie, at the very least with this adaptation of the movie, there's some tolerable aspects to it. Annihilation, there's nothing.
Yeah, there is nothing.
Absolutely.
And you're right.
Nothing. Zero.
It just the very thing that made me just place this, and what makes it more frustrating, it's when a movie gets more frustrating that I would hate on something, compared to, like, okay, this is just stupidly bad and I'm just gonna forget about it, compared to this could have worked if you hadn't done this or if you hadn't done that, you know, the very obvious things. And this is what also brings into the other tie, which I have the suspicious feeling that Screen Gems and the people behind this film probably did this on purpose to justify why the original Resident Evil movies were the way they were. And that is Welcome to Raccoon City. The casting was fucking terrible. They had these references to all these games, and they string it together to make its own movie, just so that they would justifiably say, see, following the game was a bad idea. No, it isn't, you idiot. You didn't follow the main plot of the original game. They just
sounded like Solar right there.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't want to try, or they just want to try to justify and say, oh, we're just not going to do the fairly obvious ones because that would have been too predictable. No, Paul. It's just, when you have a game that has a plot line and has something going for it that works well enough to be a movie, just fucking do it. You don't need to make it so goddamn complicated. It's not rocket science. The whole thing about whether or not something's predictable, here's the big truth. Every single movie has a formula. Every single movie is going to have something that's predictable. You cannot please everybody. Everything and everyone has root back to a single thing since the beginning of humanity. There's something borrowed.
Derivative, basically.
Everything is derivative. So the whole, just following the first game would be too predictable. Which, number one, the players would have probably wanted, and maybe see the re-experience of that in a movie. And two, this is for a public who may not have played the games. Wow, if you actually thought that way. Yeah. You know, it's just called following the source material. I just have this gut feeling that Welcome to Raccoon City was made just so that they could argue, see, following the game was a bad idea. No, the movie was terrible because you didn't do a good job. The casting for Leon Kennedy? Dude, you could have at least flattened his hair and dyed it blonde to make him look like the character. You weren't trying at all. Or find an actor. Go ahead.
To be fair, I could kind of see how this particular movie has followed the source material. It just so happens that a certain, main character is in it, and that's about it. I think at one point when I told you about how pissed off I was about Katana and shit, you were kind of trying to calm me down about how this is just following the first game and that's about it. I feel like that is kind of the same thing when looking back at it. It's just that, again, square one, we just happen to have another character on the roster, and that's about it. And this potential character could possibly be again, plot armor, but also someone who would actually serve something in the franchise. If that makes any sense.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, kind of like how you said about Dune Part 1 is kind of how maybe that's how I would feel with Mortal Kombat if they their follow-up would become much better and I would look like a dumbass. They just have it's a pretty bitter start with that. But I just feel like Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was made just out of spite and not trying to, it's once again the frustrating thing that they, any producers would ignore the obvious part of what would make it whatever its entity is.
Oh yeah.
It's also kind of playing into how I felt with, casting Chris Pratt to voice Mario instead of, Charles fucking Martinet, sorry. Yeah, it's like you have these fairly obvious things and you're just tossing it aside for the dumbest shit, if not the shallowest shit possible. And it's just, you don't care, you don't try. And I get it. You need to be able to make money. Maybe
Jack Black as Bowser, though.
Jack Black as Bowser I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the casting...
Black as Bowser, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, the rest of the casting, I don't mind. It's just Chris Pratt, of all people? Really? That's like... Yeah. I don't know. That's like dipping a vegetable in chocolate. Like a carrot or something. A chocolate carrot. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Galaxy meanwhile is like,
Oh my god. Okay.
are you alive?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Golden?
Yes?
I am a sweets person. Do not ever say shit like that again. That actually almost made me throw up.
Okay, then. I was trying to find it, what's it called? An anatomy?
Analogy.
Analogy. Wow, I'm just like, I blew my fuse.
I get it, but don't, now that's been brought up, do not put, I know this is something that should be common sense, but do not put vegetables in chocolate, please. That's, no.
Okay. Oh, if you want, but yeah, no, to film producers, you want to find something convincing, you ever heard of a thing called Detective Pikachu? Most people forget that was originally a DS game. And the plot to that one was a detective story behind the actions with Mewtwo and such. Guess what the movie had? They had a couple... Yeah, they kind of had a few changes, like a different casting choice and such. But those were minor things compared to the one major thing of what was important about it. It was a detective story, and they followed the source material. Wow!
Oh my god!
And guess what? The film was successful. Wow, it's as if you actually put in effort and followed the obvious route. Wow! This is Owen Wilson here. Just do the fucking obvious shit and you'll go far. So,
Adam Johnson.
Pikachu. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm also still bitter that Adam, I am picky for everything, Johnson gave it a fucking 3 out of 10. Fuck you.
Screw him.
Galaxy's dying.
I literally just spat all over my fucking arm. Oh my god.
Galaxy's dying.
Okay.
Long story short, if you're going to adapt something, follow the source material. It's not that fucking hard. If there's a game that has a complex story along with, follow the story of the game. If you have the basic premise of what the characters are and what is identified, follow with its roots. Now, I can't say much about the Mario movie yet. The trailer isn't out yet. I hope that Chris Pratt can do a good enough job as Mario, but I still firmly believe that Charles Martinet was the most obvious choice, and they just throw it aside for star power. And mind you, I don't hate Chris Pratt. It's just, it was a really dumb decision.
He's like one of those, like, I'm not saying this as a hate thing. I don't hate Chris Pratt. He's just one of those actors that's very oversaturated. And this is like one of those times where he is.
Okay, maybe so. But it's just follow the basic principles or the obvious, decisions. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm done ranting about that. So yeah, my picks for the... wow, we've been all over the charts on this.
Your sarcasm is admirable, though.
Wow. Pikachu.
So admirable, in fact, that it made me actually, like, spit out my saliva to my fucking arm. But, just, again, by all means, if you guys like these movies, that's fine. It's just that we happen to be very passionate about this shit.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about Mortal Kombat. It's not the worst thing, though. Again, I feel as if it's not as worst as Annihilation, which, yeah, you know, when it comes to how I feel about fucking Annihilation. Like, I remember us doing a podcast about it and just,
Anyway.
Yeah.
We should probably go on to Q&A.
Yeah.
You want to go? I mean, actually, this is your podcast. What am I doing? Golden? Golden?
Maybe give him a bit.
Do 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 do.
He probably had to go AFK for a sec.
Oh,
Doorbell.
look! Dawn the 2 by Kanye didn't drop today. I am not fucking surprised. This is my surprise face.
Okay, so people in the chat are saying that apparently there was a doorbell.
Yeah, that was me. I had to go answer it. Sorry about that.
GoldenFox podcast.
I think we're ready to go on. I think we're ready to go to Q&A. I've overstayed my feelings on game adaptations and all that shit. That'll be fun whenever I get to reviewing some of these movies one day, because that's on my chopping block. I will not hesitate to tear apart Resident Evil. Because so many people think that's a good exception of game adaptations. No, it's not. There's so many more.
I mean, there's also Sonic the Hedgehog.
Exactly. Sonic the Hedgehog, Detective Pikachu. Oh, something that a lot of people constantly gloss over. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, is a perfect, exact adaptation. They have the characters, they have a simple plot that follows along with those characters, and it's done, the story is a bit more on the generic side, but it doesn't need to be complex and shit. Okay, so, Ask All from Magical Star, what are your opinions on the recent MLP news? Anything?
Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm willing to anticipate. I did hear that there's like 2 different kinds of movies. Not movies, different types of shows. Wow. This isn't Cinepix of the year anymore. They're like, from what I heard, that's supposed to be like a YouTube series, and there's going to be something on Netflix somewhere down the line. I like that they're trying to test the waters with so many different things and not just rely on CGI. And I'm cool with that. Any kind of news that's heard, take it with a pinch of salt. Wait until the final product comes out. All that shit.
And also, yes, the designs for the characters for the YouTube series looks quirky, but I'm not going to hate it too much.
Are you guys talking about the fucking New Generation show.
Yep.
It's more or less the YouTube series for it. We're still getting the Netflix one, but the YouTube series is the one people are focusing on the most because of its art design.
It looks very reminiscent of Pony Life.
Yeah.
I honestly think Pony Life looks better.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Oh wow.
Cute. Oh my
Because like
god.
the designs are apparently so over the top. I mean, Hitch has a giant chin.
Okay.
Yeah, like to give you an idea, Brogar keeps comparing it, like he keeps drawing Hitch as fucking Krunk because his chin is that big.
Ouch.
Squake 'em.
That. Oh my god. Okay. So here's my thoughts on the web series, and I know it's just a web series, but at least with Pony Life, there's actual like facial expressions onto it. What in the shit are those fucking designs? Every time I see those designs, I have an aneurysm. What? Why? They did Izzy so dirty with how they designed her hair. It's not even because of the whole CalArts thing. It's just how they designed like the hooves and everything with not that everyone else is any better. Fucking Zip looks so goddamn horrible.
Hitch's chin, Galaxy. Hitch's chin.
Zip, I don't give a shit about the chin. You can fuck off with that. I am just so pissed off with how they did the designs. Like at the very least, you could have like do a mimic of like Pony Life. And if this is the mimic, I'm sorry, but this is just god awful. Like, I guess I'm talking about this because what?
It could be worse. At least it's just for the YouTube series, and it's not the final design for the.
I would
Netflix
rather
series.
watch the actual like G3 designs than actually watching this.
Whoa.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Jesus. Yikes.
Like at least there's some admirable shit. Every time I talked about this with Flitter Chris at one point in a call, I was so pissed when the designs were released. And be made of a dumbass again because maybe this is just promotional art, and if you see the animation, it's like anime levels or whatever the fuck. But again, it's a web series, so I shouldn't be that giving it that much of an expectation. But oh my god, especially with someone who has done like MLP art before, this character design is ridiculous. And thank God this is just the web series, because I would have been so pissed if this is the actual like designs for the actual show itself. Because it angers me. Like, not that it personally angers me, just the artistic side of me just like angry. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been doing fan art, or at the very least been doing a lot of expressive shit for so long, that seeing something like this actually just like made me want to pop a vessel or some shit. But
I have this guy. I'm looking at. I'm even looking at Pristine, and yeah, she's agreeing with you. I have this gut feeling that this YouTube series. And you could take what I say with a pinch of salt. I think they're doing this in the same vein that I feel with Welcome to Raccoon City, in that they're doing it out of spite and trying to prove that the option that you want is not going to be satisfying or some shit. Like, yeah, this is why 2D animation doesn't work. It's like, no, it's because you don't put in the fucking right effort. That's why.
You don't give the right fucking... You don't give the fucking right direction to those who are very passionate about it. If they're passionate about the series, they wouldn't have the designs that they have now. Like, I'm not saying this as, oh, it's because it's CalArts. That kind of thing kind of depends. Especially since that kind of CalArts argument can be, like, very broad.
Can I be honest?
It's just that...
Go ahead.
It's just that when some designs look flawed as hell, like not even in a good way, like actually aggravating in the eyes, that's where it pissed me off.
And this is one of those things. It's like they didn't even try. Sorry.
Nah, it's fine. I kind of wasn't expecting us to go off the rails in this kind of direction.
Which one?
No, like the kind of things where we say some hot shots and that we kind of like blow up over a lot of things, which I do apologize for the way I acted earlier. But like,
Fine, you're fine.
We
It's
have-
admirable, if anything. It's just that.
Angel of Speed has an ask all that we could answer.
yeah, let's go ahead and do that before we completely go off the
Yeah.
rails again. So, are there any shows coming out this year that you're looking forward to? I can't. I don't focus
hold on.
too much on shows as I do with movies, so it's kind of a difficult question for me to answer.
Let me see.
I guess if there's a season 2 of Squid Game, sure.
I don't remember what comes out this year besides MLP, which comes out in May.
Like
I guess. There's some good ones, but if I were to say a show, it would be anime in terms of,
Gee, I wonder what show it would be.
Under what?
Listen, I'm trying my best to not mention it, okay?
In regards to me, and I'm kind of hoping this show does come out. Okay, so Netflix is going to plan to release a show called 1899. And it is a German mystery period horror series created by Baron Odar, who made my favorite Netflix show, which I gushed about extensively, but no one got a chance to really ever see it because unfortunately Netflix America didn't do a lot of promotion for it. But other Netflix distributions happily promoted it. He made the Netflix show Dark, or as I call it, Stranger Things if it was completely bleak, miserable, and very, very, very sad. And the guy from that show is making 1989, which is about a bunch of European migrants who leave London on a steamship to go live in New York. However, things become a little bit less of a dream and more of a nightmare, especially when they encounter another migrant ship. That's all we know so far, and I'm hoping it gets released this year because, oh man, if Dark was already a messed up show, which I'm not going to spoil why it's messed up, it's fucking all over the map. I've already told Galaxy about it, and I think even she was a little bit weirded out by how crazy it is. I can't imagine how an 1899 is going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from people?
Yeah, let's take a look. All right. Okay, so trying to find something. Let's see. I wasn't there earlier in the stream, but what are all your thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home, and what are your expectations for Doctor Strange? I haven't watched them. As far
Good
as
movie.
yeah, like I've heard a lot of praises for No Way Home, but just there are too many movies to keep up with in the MCU.
Yeah.
As yeah, and this is someone like me who's a big movie person. I loved Endgame, but it's like, oh my god,
Listen.
You can't catch up at this point.
It's just like 30 movies.
Don't worry
now.
about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Again, I've talked about it. I've said this before. Marvel has been like fucking barfing out movie after movie. It's ridiculous that we can't even keep up with every single superhero movie ever.
Yeah. Okay, so we have
Thanks to
a question for Pristine. Did any of you all watch the Winter Olympics? No, I haven't. I don't know where I would be able to watch it.
Not really.
I haven't watched it. All I do know is some people I follow on Twitter did mention some like debacle involving one of the ice skaters. and how she got screwed over in the competition, but apparently the Olympics kind of realized they kind of screwed up with her, and they kind of gave her a pat in the back. But other than that, I don't really care for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I haven't really kept up with it at all, honestly.
I mean, sorry, go on.
I was honestly surprised. I didn't realize it even started until like 2 or 3 days after it had started.
Same. I mean, nothing against it. It's just it's not my thing. I'm not a big sports person.
Mm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Golden Fox Podcast. Golden Fox Podcast.
I'm gonna come.
I think he's. What the hell? Who played that?
Ryley.
God damn, dude. That was just.
Ryley likes.
Oh, gee, I wonder who has the soundboard in this fucking call.
Ryley, is there something you're not telling me about Galaxy's voice?
Oh
Nah,
my god.
Nah, it's not Galaxy's voice. I just like playing that clip.
Okay.
Pristine asked again, what games
coming out are you looking forward to? Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Kirby.
Yep. Kirby.
If
Bayonetta. Bayonetta and Splatoon 3.
What?
Yes.
Let Deafhorse talk.
If Toby Fox is able to do it, I would love to see if he gets Deltarune Chapter 3 out. But considering the amount of time it took him to make Chapter 2, we're not going to get it until maybe 3 years from now.
Oof.
I mean, he's making the game by himself, so he has no crew. So,
Okay, here we go. What game series do you think would make a good movie? I would have to really put some thought into it. I'm sure there's an answer.
Alan Wake.
Vlad would fucking explode hearing that answer. He loves Alan Wake.
I mean, the fact that and I remember Ryley also told me that it's basically Twin Peaks, but in video game form. I want that to be a movie. I would fucking love that to be a movie.
Although I could just ask all, what game series do you think would make a good movie? You know, give Resident Evil another chance and, just follow the fucking story plot of the game.
Silent Hill, especially. I mean, I was fine with the 2006 movie, but yeah, it could have done a lot more better if it had just followed the original movie instead of deciding, the main character is a dad. We don't think a dad character would be a good choice. Let's pretty much make the focus on the mom, and then just have Sean Bean literally walk around Silent Hill even though he contributes nothing to the fucking plot. Ugh. That movie only had good visuals. I would love to see a Silent Hill movie again, but actually done right.
Yeah.
I would say, I thought of like 4. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one is Kirby. I know. Hear me out. Kirby being in a movie would be good. I think it would probably, like, considering how many games Kirby has, it would make sense that they would make a movie out of, like, not every single one, but just like put out certain references of said things that have happened in the game.
I mean, sure.
I think
it would work in the same vein of how Sonic was treated, in that you just have the premise
basically
down. That you would have to have King Dedede as the primary antagonist, and just have like a silly little adventure. That could work.
Yeah. Either one of them also is Smash Bros, which, considering what we've been seeing with Sonic, that makes sense, and Mario too.
You would have to create its expanded universe to make a Smash Brothers game.
Oh, absolutely! Fucking Avengers, that shit. I don't care.
Honestly, I'm having a hard time thinking, because it's a completely different type of medium from a video game, so it's hard.
Yeah.
Hard to think what would be a good thing to adapt to the silver screen.
I was gonna also say maybe anything from Metal Gear, But to be kind of honest, when it comes to Hideo Kojima, his video games are Hideo
4
Kojima.
hours worth of a script.
Yeah. Not to mention-
he literally at this point, when it comes to his video games, they are movies. Case in point, Death Stranding's more of a movie than an actual video game.
And the most hilarious thing is that when they were trying to write the script for it, it's so many pages long that it's overqualified to be a movie. It's like, dude, you got to condense some things down. You're gonna have to crop some things down, and you have to. Yeah. It's another one of those challenges that Ryley was pointed out of adapting 2 separate mediums. Magical Starflash. Star Fox could be a fun, furry space epic, but if there's one moment between Wolf and Fox, that could be taken out of context for sure.
Well, you know what would be a cool series?
Well, hold on. I think Star Fox could work.
Yeah.
Like, if you understand somewhat of a plot of Star Fox 64 in that, because there's a bit of, I think lore is giving it too much credit, but there is some story elements to it. Like, there was a whole text explaining what happened in Pepe's old younger days, that Pigma was a traitor and such. Like, it would be a series of take on different missions, but have each of them build up to what the ultimate plan is of what Andros would be behind. And yeah, periodically have moments where Starwolf would come in and make it personal when it comes to, like, a final battle between the two. However, it really, like, you would have to be very, very careful with what you're looking for. Yes, Deafhorse?
Sorry, I was just also mentioning that Nickel asked, was there ever a time you walked out of a movie theater, and if so, what movie was it?
Hunger Games.
Ooh!
I mean...
There was only one film I've almost walked out of, and that, well, actually 2. One was Vampire Academy.
What?
Hey, okay, so a friend of mine...
Oh my god, I remember this!
We went to go see 2 films that night. One was a movie based off of a book series my friend had read, called Vampire Academy.
Oh boy.
God, I remember
The main character in that film was so annoying. She would not shut the fuck up.
Oh.
I nearly walked out, but I was like, I paid the money. I'm sitting through this. I watched the Lego movie right afterwards, so that kind of made the night better.
You know what? I'll give you that.
And the second one was Batman v Superman.
Oh, you poor summer child.
I was just miserable throughout that entire film.
The dark edginess.
I'm just like, no. I need to see this through to the end. That's what I kept telling myself.
So I'm gonna reiterate my answer about the Hunger Games. Okay, I walked out a couple of times, mostly to go to the bathroom, but I was very tempted to just walk out because I was disgusted by that movie, and then it got so popular afterwards.
Okay, here's one, and I've discussed my anger for this particular movie, Aquaman.
Oh yeah, you didn't like Aquaman.
I did not like Aquaman. I'd rather watch anything. I would rather watch that fucking Zack Snyder cut or whatever the fuck Robin was watching than watching Aquaman. It was that fucking bad. No. I think the worst part of it was like the sheer like lack of acting at all. Like there's no passion into it other than like the visual aspects of it. Almost half of the movie is so boring.
So all style, no substance.
Yes.
I remember
like there is some story or story plots, but none of them gravitate me to give a fuck. It's just, I would rather watch that. You know that one fucking Zack Snyder thing? Yeah, I would rather watch that than this.
Sucker Punch?
No.
The Justice League uncut.
Yes. Cut. I would rather watch Justice League Uncut than watching whatever the hell Aquaman was.
Uncut.
Like, because no disrespect to like the actor, he's fine as fuck. But god damn it, you're in like probably the worst movie I've ever seen, especially DC, like at DC standards.
I've never walked out in a movie, but I did sit down to watch a terrible movie. And I remember this because a
Same.
couple friends of mine basically were like, hey, you want to come to the movie theater with us? To which I did. We attempted to sneak into a movie theater to watch any random movie we could come up in. I kept insisting we should watch Watchmen, which had come out at the time. They refused, and we first snuck in to see Paul Blart Mall Cop.
You snuck in to see Paul Blart Mall Cop?
They wanted to sneak in to see that because they just wanted to do sneaking in. It didn't work. They didn't like the movie. And then the next choice they did was arguably a worse choice. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh no! Oh no!
We literally sat to watch it, and all I could think was, what did they do to Goku and Piccolo? I felt very unclean after that movie. I literally I considered it, in my opinion, just the experience I had of just going, wow, this... They didn't even try. This is literally a terrible movie. Oh
my god,
think,
dude!
Even the writer of that film, I think, said that he apologized for that.
Yeah,
he
did.
If I remember correctly, too, creator of Dragon Ball hated the movie so much that it literally was the reason he decided to bring back Dragon Ball.
Yeah, that's the reason why Super became a thing. He hated that adaptation so much it inspired him to bring the series back.
Yeah, he at first was like, it's not that terrible, but as the years went...
That is the one saving grace about that film, is that it brought Dragon Ball back.
I mean, you know your movie's bad when you literally end up instead resurrecting the franchise from the dead.
Well, that and Team 4 Star, too.
I mean, that too. And you know what's funny too is that the actor who played Goku would later on play a much more better role in Doctor Who, of all things.
Really?
Yeah. He ended up appearing in in one of the episodes where he apparently plays a superhero. And the Doctor literally ends up joining him to kind of save the world from aliens. Okay. It sounds weird, but then again, Doctor Who is literally about an alien traveling around in a blue police box, so I'm not surprised.
Okay.
It was pretty good, though. It was a good episode.
All right. There was one question that I saw earlier. Let's see. Let's see. What game do you want to see get restored and be put into a recent console? Oof.
Oh, Mega Man Battle Network all the fucking way.
Star Force 2.
Kid Icarus.
Star Force 2.
Star Force?
Yeah.
Mega Man Battle Network Star Force.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Kid Icarus.
Okay.
Kid Icarus, I have never played that game, but I want to play that game and I want to see how they, work with it.
Restored and brought back on recent consoles. That's a tough one, honestly.
I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts, but then we got that and it ended up being shit.
No, it's not that. It's that it's a digital copy instead of a physical.
Yeah, it's a cloud version. Of course,
it's gonna
suck.
Yeah, that's what sucks about it. It's just like, guys, did Square Enix do that on purpose, just out of spite with Nintendo?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They probably rushed to get it out the door to coincide with the release of Sora and Smash, and plus with all the fucking shipment shit going on right now in the world, they were just like, oh, well, I know, we'll do a half measure by making it only on the cloud.
And nobody bought it, did they?
No, people bought it. It was one of the top sellers, apparently. But then you're dealing with a cloud version.
We have ourselves to blame then, because you're supporting this bad decision.
But you're not only doing a cloud version, you're doing a cloud version on a Nintendo hardware. And when it comes to Nintendo hardware,
It's
yeah,
goo lag.
yeah, that's a problem. It's a great system and all, but as far as like power goes, it's definitely lagging behind the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Probably it's not even on par with like the Xbox One or Xbox One X, I think, either. So, and those systems can barely stream it. Well, then again, the cloud shit is just it's not there, especially with most people's internet. Just cloud shit isn't there yet for most of us. Sorry if I went rambling there.
No, that's fine.
I mean,
What game would I
yeah.
want to see restored on a new console? God, that's... I don't know, honestly. Like, I know...
Sonic.
There's been multiple Sonic titles out there.
Oh, I know. I'm just like being a pissy bitch.
Wait. I think I know one game series I would like to see come back.
Okay.
And maybe I'm ignorant. You guys ever hear of Dragon Quest Monsters?
I've heard so many different Dragon Quest titles, I can't keep track.
Yeah.
Basically, back then it was known as Dragon Warriors in the West instead of Dragon Quest, but it's basically kind of Pokemon-esque in how you get these monsters to befriend you and stuff like that, and you fight against other monsters, and then either you defeat them or they join you, and then you can breed your monsters to create new monsters and all that other kind of shit. It was a lot of fun as a kid. I just remember playing hours of that on my Game Boy.
Okay.
Hello?
No, you're there. I can't think of anything. Watch, after this podcast is over, I'm gonna like remember what it was, and I'm gonna be like, God damn it, I should have said that instead.
Yeah, that's a mood.
That is a big mood. Because all I can think of are just like titles from a much older generation. Like, okay, so I've seen like I mentioned this before. I don't know if it would still work. Okay, so you remember that there was the DuckTales remake, remastered?
That one was good.
Yeah, it was great. They did a really good job with that. I would have loved to have seen something like that done with Demon's Crest.
Ooh.
Which is a game that flopped at the time because it was looked at as being too, what's it called? Satanic and everything, even though it's a spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins, which is heavily based off of, like, biblical demons and shit to begin with.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it has this nice Metroidvania sort of feel to it. Imagine adding more shit and making the game longer with some additional cutscenes and everything. Like, that would be great. That would give so much love and attention to Firebrand the Demon. Or Gargoyle, I would say. Yeah, Sleepy?
I don't know if this was like an actual thing, but Dr. Mario.
Oh. Wait, didn't they
some.
kind of do that already with like a series of other like characters like Dr. Bowser and Dr. Luigi and shit?
I think that was only on. Yeah, I think that's on the phone, but more specifically on the actual game consoles,
okay.
like Switch and
That's
everything.
Fine. Let's go with one more question. Ask all. Do any of you all play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? I don't have a physical copy. Sorry.
I am going to get it. I'm going to get it just because I was waiting for 9, but with the announcement of all the classic tracks being added, I'm just like, fuck it. I guess this is the best we're going to get. And if that's $24 for 48 courses, fine. Fuck it.
I really should invest getting some more like Switch games, because the only games that I have for the Switch are Pokemon Shield and what's it called? Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
I could give you a game.
Golden, there's one game I would definitely recommend. That's
Metroid
Hades.
Dread. Wait, Hideous? What?
Hades.
Oh, Hades?
Yeah.
What's that?
Hades is good.
It's kind of an isometric hack and slash kind of game. It's a, what do they call it? A rogue light. It's not a rogue-like, it's a rogue-lite. You know what a roguelike is, right?
Hang on. Hades.
It was like the biggest game of 2020, pretty much. And I just tested it like a couple weeks ago, and I bought it on my Switch immediately after.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of the Switch, though, I was impressed from the Nintendo Direct that they're bringing back Chrono Cross of all games.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, I also heard about the additional tracks of Mario Kart 8. I'm just like,
I mean, at least we're getting all these classic tracks. It'll be nice to be able to do that with.
Rankai.
Yeah.
I would not accept the challenge of another Pokemon game because I would already piss off Ellie, and I've already had a pretty nasty experience with Pokemon Yellow.
Apparently Pokemon Legends Arceus is really good. I want to give it a try because I've been hearing nothing but praise about it and how it kind of redoes
cool.
the Pokemon formula.
I still want Golden to play River City.
Of course you would say that.
Yeah, it's one of those like fighting brawl games that you would probably like, considering that you've played them before. Yeah.
All right, so I think this is time where we stop with the questions because holy shit, this went on for 4 hours.
Yeah, we've been going for a while.
I mean, to be fair, I had a lot of catching up to do, and the first hour was just ranting on so much fucking bullshit, dude. But yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun, though.
Yeah, but also I think this would be a great comeback. Hopefully in the future we'll start to, like, shorten down on any future podcasts, because I have to edit all this, and I have to render it afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Sorry again for like that long
No, you're
diatribe.
fine.
You're fine.
Dude, I fucking
Ryley,
dude, I
do you know how much
Dude, I fucking ranted on with fucking Dune and God knows what else. I went on a fucking tirade.
I took off the entire fucking podcast the entire time, interrupted you. You're not hogging the spotlight, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, live and learn. Like, I'll just have to keep in mind for future reference, we have to keep our feelings a little bit more simpler or brief and shorten down these. Because I honestly, like, I don't want these to go on for hours and hours, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to listen to these to my sleep if I have to.
Oh, absolutely. I just don't want these to be at the lengths of Gettysburg for the upteen time, if you know what I mean.
Please, that'll be cool.
Maybe for you, you could just watch all these podcasts on a marathon. Like, I have a fucking playlist.
Like 7 hours of a podcast.
Oh my god. Gettysburg has got competition right there.
Yeah. But no, I do understand, but also I still want, I still want you to do a longer podcast, considering that you now have a good rig.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, boy.
Something I ought to do, like, because I have, like, 2 days off in a row. And at the time I'm saying this is like, oh, this is just shit I might do already. That's already happened. I might do an edit stream or something, because I have 2 days off within the next 2 days.
Okay.
Oh, you're doing an edit stream?
Possibly. Pristine, hold on. Pristine, I'm talking about the Gettysburg movie with Jeff Daniels. Do you know how long that movie is? 254 minutes.
So
it's slightly longer than the 10 Commandments. It's over 4 hours. I'm like, oh fuck, dude.
Oh god,
Okay.
Golden, if you think that's long,
I am aware that there are movies that are almost a day's length.
No, well, yes, but there is one movie I still am immensely familiar with that I'm not touching because of how incredibly long it is. The movie Satan Tango is 7 hours long.
I'm not surprised.
I could see myself actually like doing some chores while that movie plays, and I wouldn't miss shit.
Well, considering that Satan Tango, the 7-hour-long movie, is literally full up of long shots, by the time you finish your chores, the movie segment, which will probably just be a still frame of the characters sitting in the corner of the room, would have not changed at all.
I think we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we gotta have our ending statements here. Anything that you guys would like to say? Okay, so Deafhorse, any final statements?
Reminder: if you're gonna get a tattoo, fucking get a small one first.
Ryley?
Fuck crypto bros.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was it? Oh, fuck.
Eat,
I might
Good
be
night,
doing a
everybody.
whole. I don't know. Yeah.
eat Cheerios.
Oh, ew. Why would you? No.
Okay then.
All right then. So my concluding statement is here's my advice to every one of you to avoid, and I'm saying this in the Twitch chat, to avoid getting hacked and everything. Make up your passwords with the series of characters that you can write down, and not just make a bunch of words. Like, change them every once in a while, and make sure that you're consistently checking every social media, because I would never wish in a blue moon to anybody to have any of their stuff hacked, because that shit is not cool. And to that person who hacked my YouTube channel last month, fuck yourself hard. Like, not even anal beads. Like, stick a carrot up your ass and cough it out.
Or rod. Or like, you know those like sticks, or not sticks, those metal sticks that would be okay for, you know, fire and everything. Yeah, that.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you guys for listening in on this new edition of the GoldenFox podcast. I hope that we can make better ones in the future, and I will see you guys sometime next month when we talk about the following moves we're looking forward to: the Batman and Turning Red.